started. So, welcome to the director's commentary for Perfect Strangers, a Sean Solomon film, a film by Sean Solomon, whatever you want to call it. I am. Oh, there's actually one thing I wanted to do before. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I wanted the chat box up, but oh well. Yeah. This is a documentary I made last October. I've been working on this probably since the beginning of last semester, but worked on it fall of 2022, released it December 2022, and I want to say the last time I worked on it in any substantial manner was in 2023, probably January. Got into the BIPOC Film Festival run by Temple University, and we watched it last night. That BIPOC Film Festival had the biggest turnout of any student film festival that was run out of the Reel, which is the kind of theater that Temple has. So it was big. It was a big John. So I don't watch a lot of directors' commentaries, so I don't really know how I'm gonna do this. So I'm just gonna play it, and then whatever I think of, I'm gonna stop and pause and rewind and fucking point out. So, yeah.
Hey, Shishi and Didi, Reka Jeju, my darlings. This is a video letter from me to you all. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh, what's this video about? Well, when we first met and we went to the mall, and, we went shopping, we got food, Shishi was screaming on that virtual roller coaster with Maggie, that kind of stuff. You guys didn't really get to know me very well, and I know because of our situation that it's going to be hard for you guys to know me as well as Maggie knows me or as well as Val knows me. I want to let you guys into my life the best way that I know how, and that's through making movies. So I guess video letter is a bit disingenuous. This isn't exactly a video letter as it is more a documentary. And every documentary needs a title, right? So I want to dedicate this documentary to my four perfect strangers.
Okay, so opening crawl, minute long, a lot of expository text and a lot of fucking weird imagery. So what I was going for here visually was that I wanted to have like a monologue, obviously, to intro the movie. And I wanted it to be specifically for, I wanted the very first thing in the video to be to, obviously, who the documentary, whatever we're gonna call this. I wanted it to be exactly to whoever I was talking to, who it was about, which is, the little sisters, Shishi, Didi, Leka, and Jeju. So first and foremost, I don't give a lot of visual details, just this kind of like weird thing. If you want to know what this actually is, it's just stock footage of fire, and I put Gaussian blur over it to make it look all cinematic and fancy. Which you can probably tell is just the way that the image is moving. You can probably tell that it is fire. But something that somebody told me that I think also probably played into why my brain even went to this visual effect, is that they said that it looked like it looked like what they thought you see when you are in your mom's stomach, like kind of how there's like, you're just in a stomach, you're just floating around, like you're how you would see it. I don't know how to phrase it really, but kind of like, you're in the stomach and the light is hitting the stomach and you're inside and the skin is like illuminating a certain way. That's what this imagery reminded them of, and I was like, I guess that makes sense because we're talking about a bunch of like life stuff and the girls are very young, so I don't know, there's some sort of baby symbolism there, pretty sure. There, I have met these little sisters before. They're not in this documentary outside of like one or two video clips, but they are in Wheezy in utero. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you get what I mean. All right, cool. I have, and I am streaming this on Twitch, by the way, for the people that watch the director's commentary on like YouTube or something. So there is a chat room with people that I know that I'm talking to. But yeah, we did meet one day at the mall, and I do bring that up, and there are clips of them. I was planning to like interview them. Like this documentary was going to be totally different, and people tell me that the storytelling is very strong, and I appreciate that. There's no but coming, but I just appreciate people telling me that the storytelling is strong, because this is the same style I make for like all the like funny like with gaming with my friends kind of YouTube videos. Like it's that same style, maybe with like less voiceover. I know one of the Uno videos that we did, I did intro this same fashion, like with a more comedic spin, just to let the audience know, people that didn't know my friends already, like, all right, these are my friends and this is how they act like. And it's something that I've kind of just like adopted into my personality through watching several YouTube videos. I want to say, who is it? Kryken on YouTube has like a very distinct style that I feel like a lot of people didn't have on YouTube, because as soon as people got microphones and figured out the technology with like whatever they were using back then, it was a movie maker, and like I think Black Magic actually had editing software, which is it's crazy because like, you know, because now I think of Black Magic, I think of like cameras and things like that, but they actually had a series of like capture cards back in the day that people used to use. Um, and yeah, so I got this like kind of style from YouTube videos, and something that I was actually very worried about while I was making it, and even after I made it and like showed people to it, is that I didn't know if this felt more like a documentary or if it felt more like a YouTube video. And even now still I feel like it's more, it's somewhere in that middle ground, but I do feel it leans more towards YouTube video than it does documentary. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or that's a good thing. Obviously, everybody who's talked to me likes it. You know, maybe there's some people out there watching that just like, you know, forget this, like, you know, it sucks. It's some YouTube video, whatever. But everybody's been candid in telling me they like it, so I'm glad that they don't care about what genre it is. It's like lights moving around when your eyes are closed. That's also what I was going for too, because you see right after that I do open my eyes, and this is exactly what I see when I like. Obviously, you know, the example is correct, but this is what I see when my eyes are closed. And I guess it also kind of comes together in a way that's just like, is this a monologue? Is this in my head? Am I talking to myself? Things like that. But it works out because like when I make films, I do like think about it a lot. Like for example, like this, I'll play the song at the end, but in my head, like I'll pick a song for a specific movie and I'll play the song over and over and over again, trying to get the scenes out, trying to get the shots out correctly, the way that the actors deliver the lines, maybe some of the visuals, or even some of the actions down to the very like minute twitch of the hand. Like I'll think about as I listen to music. And you know, this is the one of the shots I shot after, I forget when I shot this. I think this was um, probably that day that I shot the back steps conversation with my sister. I think it was that day. And funny enough, well, this is like a random like trivia thing, but um, you know, Super Bowl is this weekend. Eagles Chiefs. I'm a big Eagles fan. Can you see it? You can barely see it, but that's a Ravens shirt that I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Ravens shirt. I'm not even wearing an Eagles shirt, but it's just some random trivia. And as we get into the title card, I actually did not edit this title card sequence, and like a little bit after, I actually asked Styles to help me out because I was still doing assembly on the actual like interview parts. I was still doing assembly and I was still doing subtitles. So I asked my friend Styles X2 to help me do it. Um, so yeah, this, and I gave him like a very specific thing. Like I gave him a very uh, specific idea of what I wanted, and he literally picked it out of my brain and put it on the screen. And I was like, "You saved me, bro," because I was struggling for time, and I'll explain that a bit later. But yeah,
That's I, the documentarian Sean Solomon. There are some things I have to explain before we get into the actual main part of it, so buckle up. First, my family tree isn't exactly a tree. It's more like a spider web, if anything. trees are cool and rad and give oxygen and all that other cool stuff like sugar, I think. Spider webs are kind of scary, and the only things that are on them are spiders and other bugs that get eaten. Scary. My father, who shall remain nameless from me, has a bunch of different kids with a bunch of different women on said web. My mom had my brother Harlem, my other brother Valerie, my sister Maggie, and then myself, each about 3 years apart. I went around 15 years of my life thinking that these were the only people I was blood related to. Of course, I was wrong. I found out that there were more kids because one day I saw my father in the waiting room of an Einstein Pediatricians while I was waiting there, and there was another woman, and there was another child with him. That child was Shishi. Shishi, Didi, Leka, and Jeju are my darling baby sisters, full stop. But for better context, Shishi and Didi's mom is Miss West Carlene, who I don't have a picture of, but will represent her with Michiko. Leka and Jeju aren't connected to me by blood at all because we have different fathers and different mothers, but I love them just the same. Alright.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back another minute and just kind of like talk over it again. So, like I said, Styles edited the intro, kind of. Yeah, this intro part right here, explaining everything. This was me at Maggie's wedding. The twist that I had in for about too long, and I didn't take them out before I got them retwisted again, and my loctician got mad at me. Sorry, Sion. But yeah, this was me at Maggie's wedding. I think Val is like in the other part of this picture. This intro was different. Beforehand, I had, and this stays between us, right? Me and you guys listening, everybody at home listening. But there was a different intro I had where in one of the later interviews that I filmed with my family, my mom was kind of upset about something. And I was just like, listen, Mom, I didn't even want to do this. The department wanted me to do documentary. I wanted to do narrative. So I'm just doing this to fulfill what the the department wanted me to do. Realized that's a really vain thing to put in a film. And it's also like, my sisters don't care. Like, they don't even know what I'm talking about. So why would I even put this before I say a bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with that intro before and after? It was funny. My class saw it. Doc Workshop 1, they saw that part, like that draft, and they laughed. Like, everybody was laughing. It was funny. But at the same time, it's like that joke isn't going to hit the same for everybody else. So why even have it in there? Just cut it out. All right, let me throw a PNG of myself up there so people know who I am, what I'm doing here. And I look really nice. So, I could have cleaned up my facial hair a little bit, but I was recovering from COVID, so I get a pass, all right? That's an insane way to find out I have other siblings. Yeah, it was definitely an emotion, I'll say. Me and my sister definitely were feeling emotions. Swag Solomon. All right, let's continue. Yeah, I don't know where I came up with the spiderweb imagery. It's accurate and people like it, but I don't know where exactly I got it from. I think that might have been like an original from me. But yeah, and it helps, like, again, thank you so much to Styles for helping me edit it, because he had the imagery right down to, like, for example, my big thing about my filmmaking going forward is that I want to do a lot of things like with intentionality. I watched a video, I think it was by Variety, where they had Rian Johnson kind of like break down a scene from Knives Out 2 and like all the things that went into making that intro and why he made the choices that he did. And I thought it was very helpful because it just shows me, like, every time I watch one of those videos, I'm just like, directors are so intentional about so many things. Like, I want to be that visceral to where I take 20 minutes to break down like a 2-minute scene that a lot of people aren't even going to remember, but it's going to stay in their heads because of how the intentionality works. Every decision makes sense, and every decision helps lead the viewer somewhere, through costume, through angles, through clothing, through the things that they cut out, but the things that they'd also left in. Styles put this image of Venom up as, kind of like a play on, like, oh, we just showed Spider-Man and we're talking about spiders and bad stuff, and obviously bad Spider-Man is Venom, right? But if you look at Venom here, right, and the spider, like, he also is center frame, and maybe you can call me crazy for this, but Venom is center frame, and he has a spider web here, right? And as we go forward, I'm gonna leave my mouse right here so y'all can see exactly what's going on, right? So then, your eyes are up towards the anti-spiral from not Fooly Cooly, Gurren Lagann, and it's back here to center frame, right? And the anti-spiral and Venom have the same kind of color scheme. He got a very intentional picture. I didn't tell him to get that picture of Venom, but he got a very intentional picture of Venom because Venom has been different colors. Like I feel like it's probably like some of the early comics, he's probably been like blue or something like that to save money on the black ink. Because I feel like there's something where, the same thing with Batman, where Batman was probably always originally going to be blue or black, but blue ink is cheaper or something like that. So like in Marvel superheroes and like probably Marvel vs. Capcom 1, where Venom isn't in those games, he is blue because he was always meant to be blue. But and then eventually it's just like, oh, black isn't that expensive anymore for inking, so let's just get him that. Yeah. Also, while I was writing this, I realized like all of my siblings are pretty much 3 years apart. Like my brother Harlem, born in '89. It kind of messes up right here, like right at the beginning. But Val's 93, Maggie's 94. Okay, well maybe it's 4, 4, 4, 4, 3. Okay, all right, I'm a liar, but essentially, yeah. Like as I also thought more about my siblings, I had to think about just like the steady flow of kids that my mom had. Yeah. More kids, yeah, and the Einstein. I remember that day pretty viscerally too, because it wasn't even just like, hey, I showed up at the waiting room and then he's there and I walk past him and I do that Zoolander thing where, Ben Stiller and I think that's I forget the other actor's name, so I look really fake right now, but they're doing that like stare thing as they walk past each other. No, it was like we got in the building and we got in an elevator with him, and it was probably the most awkward elevator ride of my life. Owen Wilson, yeah, there we go. Thank you, Easy. We get out of the elevator and we obviously go to two separate parts of the waiting room, but then we see him go over to another woman and another child, and it's just like, bruh, who is that? And this is the only time in the director's commentary I'm going to talk about him too, unless it calls for it. Yeah, Shishi Didi. I would have like this picture of Didi is old too. Like Didi looks a lot older now. We'll see her later, but we took a picture, and we'll see that picture later. But Didi was on Val's back because Val was giving her a piggyback ride, and then because she was getting a piggyback ride, she couldn't be in the picture. I think she was asleep or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is the only outdated picture of Didi that we have. We'll see her later. And yeah, I don't have a picture of Miss West Carlene, which is Shishi and Didi's mom. And I'm not going to ask her for one, so I just put Michiko up there because everybody knows Michiko. And something else I wanted to bring up too was that there were a couple different ways I was going to do that open and crawl back in like the like closed eye space. Like there was a version I had where I wasn't really sure how I was going to talk to them. Like I didn't know if I wanted to speak to them in Creole, if I wanted to like flex my Japanese and speak to them in Japanese before going, no, let me just do this right. But I eventually just settled it on like my line delivery being shaky enough to get the point across without doing all this or wasting this much time. Because in Doc Workshop 1, which isn't this version of this isn't the Doc Workshop 1 version. In that version, I only had 12 minutes. My professor said you have 12 minutes exactly, or you have 11:59:59. You do not have 12:01. You do not have 12:02. You do not have 12:03. And one of the other students that submitted their thing to the class, like we had an end of class, I guess, screening of all of our documentaries. They had like a 17-minute documentary, and the professor didn't show their thing at all. So was 12 the requirement? It was a hard requirement. You were not getting past 12. And that's, initially I had trouble with that too. I was just like, bro, I have so much footage and I have so much, well, not so much footage, but there's so much content in the footage that I shot. And there's so much like that my brother and sister said, how can I not have it be like 15 minutes? How can I not have it be 17, 20 minutes? But then as I started getting more like visceral and like I started, as Gabby would say, going snip, snip, snip. And actually cutting out a lot of that stuff, even if I really liked it and got down to like the bare essentialities of what I needed for this documentary. I actually ended up liking the 12-minute cut more than I did like the 20-minute cut. So it worked out. Yeah, and I like this version a lot. I feel like what am I at? 1347? I like this 1347 cut a lot. And if there was anything I would do, I would probably make it even shorter. Let me get the director's cut. You only want the director's cut because you want to hear the unedited conversation that Maggie and Val had about God. That's the only reason why you want that. And I have met Shishididi Lika and Juju's dad. He is a very nice guy. Both of them are wonderful. And I'm just glad that and I say that they're wonderful because when I met them, I was the only one even thinking that it could be weird when I felt like an outsider, but they didn't make me feel like an outsider at all. They made me feel very welcome, and they were like very open to the idea that like I was their big brother, especially these two, because they're not related to me, but they're still just like, oh yeah, that's big brother Sean. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, so let me unmute again, and we'll probably go for another minute before I pause again.
Just the same. All right, so let's get into the actual topic. When did you first know about Shishi and Didi's existence?
I think I was in high school. It was 10th grade, because I was in my English biology class. It was 10th grade, and me and Tracy actually went to the same high school.
Tracy? Val and Maggie both mentioned Tracy and Laura, which are cousins on my dad's side. Whether or not it's through an uncle and aunt, grandma, or whatever, I'm not sure. But however, we love the both of them anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah, your cousin.
She went to Coney?
Yeah. She came in, I think we were in 9th grade. She came in like through the middle of 9th grade. But she was telling me, and she just kind of like told me. It was not like a, hey girl, like I have something to tell you. It was more like a, you got a sister, right? And I was like, no, I don't. And she was like, yeah, you have two of them. And was telling me how like young they are and how young their mom is. But yeah, it was just weird. I don't know. I kind of felt away.
And then when did you first meet them?
I met them at church by accident. It was like, I think it was like 20.
Real quick, nobody but anybody in my family knows who this is, but this is my cousin on my mom's side. So my mom's sister's daughter, my cousin Mia. I don't know where we got this picture from. I mean, obviously, Tati probably just sent it over, but I didn't even realize we had this picture among like all of our baby pictures until I was like looking around. I'm like, yo, is that Mia? Like,
16 or 17, 2016 or 17, and we were having a revival at our church, and he came, and he brought both of them and Alex and their grandmother, and she knew right away who I was.
Yeah, because they all look alike.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, I was trying to avoid or deny the fact that that was true, but she knew. I mean, she was only 3 at the time, 3 or 4 at the time. No, that's probably a lie. She was probably like 6.
Despite me making this documentary, I actually wasn't the first.
Okay, so that part, right? There's a lot of stuff in there. So I'm gonna go back, mute it, and just look. First thing is that this shot was shot October 13th, 2022. And for a while, at this point, October 13th, my class was running for at least a month, if not 2 months by now, for Documentary Workshop 1. And something that I wasn't prepared for, that I should have seen coming, obviously, was that a lot of people were, like, in film school in general, people just have stuff. They have stuff, right? So I'm thinking, all right, I have a little bit of time before I have to start shooting, so I won't need footage until, like, maybe November or something like that. No, people had footage. As soon as we went over the topics, like we all had to give 3 topics of something that we wanted to make a documentary about. After we gave those 3 topics, people started shooting right away. Like they started shooting immediately. And I was just like, wait a minute, wait. I ain't seen none of y'all's names in the little equipment joint like that. Because I work at the equipment office at school. And I was like, I ain't seen none of y'all names in the equipment joint. How do y'all have footage already? Like they all already have their own stuff. So they don't even need equipment. I was the only person really taking out stuff for documentary, and I was just like, oh well, I had the flabbergasted face when I pulled up, and everybody had a rough cut to show. I didn't have a rough cut to show. The most I had was this conversation, and I had about 5 minutes of usable things for this conversation. And this conversation eventually becomes unusable. So I'm glad that we had like the 5 minutes we got out of this was a really good 5 minutes because we started filming this at like 4 o'clock in October, and by October, like you're getting close to winter time, so the sun sets lower, and we weren't out there for not but 17 minutes, and the beginning of this footage and the end of this footage are a lot darker. So I literally only had 5 minutes of footage that I could use. But everybody else had entire rough cuts, and I pulled up and I showed people what I had, and I was like, here is me and my sister. I know it was supposed to be my younger sisters, but haven't been able to get them yet. So here's my older sister, Maggie. And my professor was okay with it. Despite everybody else nearly having entire films, my professor was like, okay, I really like the frame that you shot, that it isn't just traditional talking head. You guys are kind of like sitting in a way that's comfortable for the both of you. And you guys are kind of looking off into the distance, but the frame tells us a lot about it being the back steps of your house. You can see the trash cans back here. There's a little bit of foreground interference, and there definitely is like a frame, like, the bars kind of lead up to each person. They're kind of like, they're actually like guiding us, like hand railing us to the two of you, because there's a splash of color where the both of y'all's faces are, because you guys are wearing black. I'm kind of wearing, dark on dark, and I'm in a dark spot because Maggie's pants are black, so my face really pops out. And Maggie's wearing not a lime green. I don't know the flavor of ice cream that my mind just went to. Mint chocolate chip? There was some show that made mint chocolate chip ice cream look really good. I can't remember. It was some cartoon that I watched when I was younger. But she's kind of wearing this like mint jacket that's open. So it's like, all right, guardrail face, back to the guardrail. And then, Maggie has her chest open up, leading right up to her face. All right, cool. Yeah. So, just so people know, because in the other Spiderweb, it was kind of hard to see everybody's face, but I just wanted to put up name cards for everybody's things so that we know exactly who everyone is. And there's something funky going on with the subtitles here. I don't know if that's just for me or if that's like in the actual video, but like there's like a drop shadow for it. That's not intentional, but Vassar, thank you for the sub. I wasn't lying about streaming on Twitch. I'm not, talking to nobody. I'm talking to people. But yeah. This conversation was an important one because it was kind of like the foundation of the entire project. If this conversation failed, then I couldn't really do anything with the film, because it's just like I can only get Maggie a certain times out of however many times I ask her. So it's like I can't essentially make an entire documentary out of one conversation. Can't make it out of one conversation, but I did it out of two. So thankfully this one was really good, and Maggie was really, after we warmed up a bit by just talking about random stuff, we did end up like actually getting to the real topic of Shishi and Didi, and Maggie gave me a lot of good stuff, bringing up a lot of stuff that I even forgot about. Like I probably was already told, but I legitimately forgot that my cousin Tracy went to Tacony, which is a charter high school, and I don't even know where it's at because I didn't go to the high school, so I don't know. It's essential, but and there was a little dialogue about how it was like, I don't know how Tracy is my cousin. I don't know who it's through. I'm being legitimate. I don't know. I haven't talked to Tracy, Laura, Marvin. I haven't talked to any of them in a while. I know Val has, but I'm not on social media like that. I don't go looking for people. So, if they eventually see this and they're just like, you haven't reached out to us, it's not because I don't like y'all. It's just because I don't go looking. So sorry. And I do love y'all. I remember that we used to like, I do have like visceral memories of being over their grandma's house, and how like that would be a lot of how we used to play video games. This is very off topic, but what was it? There was like a Tom and Jerry game on the GameCube that was like a kind of like a 3D arena brawler, and it was so, at least I remember it being so fun. there was just so much that you could do in that game. Like you could fight on kitchen countertops, like you could get ring outs because the stove randomly turned on, and if you were near any of the fire, you know, Tom would do that little yell that he does. Like, that was such a fun game, and it's something that I remember playing with them. And yeah, I have really fond memories of just like hanging out with them when I was younger. Actually, hold on, I have to play this part out loud because this is important.
And she just kind of like told me. It was not like a, hey girl, like I have something to tell you. It was more like a, you know, you got a sister, right?
People love that line. When we screened it last night, everybody was laughing. Like everybody laughs every time they hear that line, because Maggie's funny, right? Y'all know it. You know, stream viewers know it. I know it. Everybody that's watched the film knows Maggie is hilarious. Maggie's friends know she's hilarious. Like, people just love Maggie, and that was the first. It's kind of like your first introduction into getting to know her personality. And even though like she's like, I'm telling her I'm recording her, there was no like, hey, I'm kind of like, you know, nervous about being on camera. Like I have to warm her up a bit. It was more like, what I meant by warm up earlier was like, we have to warm up our conversations, because sometimes our conversations take a little bit before we get going, you know? Sometimes she jumps in and she's just like, hey, and we just start talking about stupid stuff, but sometimes we have to lean into it. But I'm glad that she did that, because it kind of eases the audience into getting to know who Maggie is. Because that line right there is who Maggie is. Like, she has that like dry but very funny and very confident way of delivering dialogue, and that's what I love about my sister. Yeah, these are all of our baby photos from picture day at school. You can see my mom is a very big fan of button-down shirts with blue and white stripes. Like, she's a very big fan of that. That is a Miki Leonardo special, bro. You can see Miel swagged out. Miel is so swaggy, bro. She got the little afro going on. She got the chain. She got the little earring. Like, golly. And I would put up a picture of Tracy and Laura and Alex and their grandmother, because I do have a picture of Alex, but I'm not as comfortable showing their faces because I don't know whether or not they want to be in the documentary. I talked to Miss West Carlene and she was fine with having me, like, there's like a whole maybe like anecdote I'll tell later about like my struggles with this documentary, like making it. I'll probably save that for the end. But with Alex and their grandmother, and even pictures of my dad, I didn't want any of that to be controversy within making of the film. So I just left it out, even though I do have pictures of them. I'm pretty sure I have pictures of their grandmother too. But I mean, she didn't introduce me to, like, she didn't introduce herself when I saw her. So I'll just, yeah. And here's that picture of Shishi and Maggie. And they do look alike. I'm not even like, you know, oh, she's light skinned and she's like skin. Oh, they look alike. No, they look alike. They look similar. They got the same smile. Like, if she showed teeth, they would have the same smile. They got the same dimples. All right, come on. Stop playing with me. And even then, in this footage, you can see it getting darker. Like, you can see me start, like, you can't even see my locks anymore, for real, for real. Alright, so, you know what the deal is. Another minute, and then I'll pause it again.
Documentary. I actually wasn't the first of my immediate siblings. Let's call them the Arthur Pack, to meet any of the West Carlene Quartet. It actually was attributed to one Valerie Solomon. Valerie Solomon is an anime
Okay. That wasn't the minute I like.
character. Straight up. He's Goku, he's Naruto, he's Luffy, he's Ichigo, he's Mob, he's all of them.
PT! How you say, sir? P! Let's crack this stage! Yeah, Bob! Yeah, so.
You know. All right. So, yeah. So yeah, Val met them first because Val knows everybody. He's like that guy in the family. He's well connected. He knows everybody. He's not the type to stick down in one place. He's always moving. He's always seeing new things. That's just Val. This was taken after we went to church. I want to say this was 2019. 2019 going into 2020, so this was right before the pandemic. My mom Arthur, you know, her Haitian hat, her Haitian swag. This is Maggie, you know what I'm saying, fitted up as well. This is Val, his bead bracelets, look like a young Tasty Steve. This is Harlem. He got cut out because it's just like we didn't have I didn't have a tripod at the time because I wasn't in film school yet. Otherwise, we would have taken a better picture. And I didn't have any other pictures with all 5 of us. So I just picked this one. This is me before the locks. You know what I'm saying? Being an annoying little brother. Yeah. And then this footage is years later, obviously. This is my brother's studio apartment in California. He's got locks. I've got locks now. Harlem does not have locks, obviously. But we're watching I forget what the group is called because I'm a Zoomer. But we're watching we're watching a recording of a Versus because he missed it because we were out all day. And I felt like this was the only thing that I thought of when I was introducing my brother. Like, this is the only way I thought of introducing him. I was just like, there's no way else I'm introducing him other than this footage. And I lost this footage for a while too. It was just somewhere on my hard drive, and I was like, I need to find this footage because I need this video to intro Val because this is just the perfect intro. And there was never a point where I was thinking about cutting it either. The only reason why I might cut this is because of copyright. If I were to like submit it to bigger festivals and they email me back and they're just like, hey buddy, Remy Ma's looking for a check, and I'm just like, Remy, I don't have money for you. You have more money than me, like. So you know that might be the only reason why I alter the scene, but this is never leaving this film ever. And people love Maggie. People love Maggie so much. They were cracking up when they saw this, and you know my mom is asleep because she's not like that. And the anime character stuff like this is like. All right, yeah. So, you know, one of my earliest memories of me growing up was I remember being like terrified. I was terrified of the Cell Saga, bro. Let me tell you. And in Dragon Ball Z, when Cell showed up and he started drinking people, I was mortified. I was scared out of my mind. Naruto, I remember a lot of watching Naruto with my brother too. Toonami held it down. Like, that was like the first show that we would watch, like week to week to week to week we would watch. And every time an opening changed, one of us, like if somebody was downstairs eating or something like that, and the other was done already and we were watching Naruto, we would call the other up, yo, there's a new Naruto opening, come up, come watch the opening, right? My favorite personally is Yura Yura, but I know his is probably like opening 5 or probably like Flow Go, which is like opening 4. That's probably his favorites. So I just picked my favorite. And he recently got into One Piece over the pandemic. A lot of people did because, you know, you're stuck in house all day. You ain't got nothing to do. Might as well watch an anime that has probably like 10. It's got 1,000 episodes. So, you know, you have a lot of content. And, you know, hopefully by the time you catch up, we're out of the pandemic if you started and you're watching pretty consistently. So he's a fan of the big 3. And I didn't even peep that this was the big 3 when I made it. I just made that connection now. But he does also act like all these people. You know, he's built like Naruto, Goku. does martial arts. Like I know he trained Muay Thai for a while, and I know he does boxing too. And he's a compassionate person like Luffy, so I just put that little Johnsky there. This part is kind of like self-indulgent. It's kind of like a if you know type vibe. He also really likes Bleach now. He got into Bleach, and Mob kind of doesn't fit in with the rest, but he also really likes Mob. So I just put that in because I asked him to. There was another segment I was gonna do. Like his interview was gonna be like a Metal Gear Solid Codex style. So there was gonna be like two sides of the frames. It was gonna be him. I did a drawing of him as Mob, and I did a drawing of me as Itadori Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen. And it was gonna be like a Codex style, like kind of like PNG tuber type thing, to where every time he talks, like the PNG bounces, and every time I talk, my PNG bounces. And it was gonna be something like I thought it would be really visually cool to kind of do that and like break the effectively, like a lot of like what I try to do in this documentary is try to break documentary stereotypes, which is weird because I'm also worried about it seeming like a video, like a YouTube video, when it's just like you don't want to follow this tradition, but you're afraid of breaking too much tradition. So it's a weird thing. But when I was thinking of doing that codec thing, I asked him like, what anime character does he like? What's his favorite right now? And he was like, Mob is my favorite right now. So I drew him as Mob. And right now I'm a really big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, so I drew myself as Yuji. But that fell through because 55-year-old film teacher confused by all this. That's the point. Z gets it. Sorry. But yeah. That is... I thought it was going to be really cool visually. Obviously it didn't work out here because I didn't have the time to do it. I got the drawings done, but I feel like the actual codec being set up and the PNG tuber set up as well wouldn't have worked. And I'll get into why I couldn't have done all of the ideas that I wanted to do at the end of the video, but the codec is something... I'll probably use it for something else, which is what a lot of my videos are. Me reusing ideas because I'm not original. Yes. Let's see. He's stepping in a full suit. Yeah, he is. That's my bro. He's him, bro. Like this. That's what. Essentially, that's what this like section is. Like he is him. Like, and something that I'll bring up later when it comes back up later is the music. All of the music that I use is intentional. I use the Melee theme to open the documentary, like around, I'm at 4:47 right now. Like this part, you can kind of hear it.
Spiderwebs are kind of scary, and the only things that are on them are spiders and other bugs that get eaten.
It's a lo-fi rendition, but it is the Melee theme. And then here, you can kind of hear the start of Comedy by Gen Hoshino, also the lo-fi rendition.
Valerie Solomon is an anime character, straight up. He's Goku, he's Naruto, he's Luffy, he's Ichigo, he's Mob, he's all of them.
And it's very intentional. The Melee theme I use because obviously, like I said, Melee is something that's been a part of my life. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you view the Smash community, Melee has been a part of my life since I was old enough to hold a controller. And it was even something that my mom played too when we were younger. Like I have a visceral memory in my head of us playing and her picking she picked the Black Dr. Mario alt, right? I know the running joke is that like, all black people either play Falco or they play the black variant of Dr. Mario, but like she also like she did it too, so you know what I'm saying? It's just there's something about Dr. Mario that's really cool to us. But Melee is something that's very dear to me, and I like Spy Family. It wasn't something that got like I shared it's not something like my brother watches and we talk about a lot, but I feel like that song is something very linked to family as well. And it's a very good song too, so I put that in there too. I needed like a shorter song as like an in-between between the Melee song and what I have at the end. So I picked Comedy, also done by Lo-Fi Leah, who I have credited at the end. But yeah, this was like something like the step dances are also very important to me too. My brother is part of the Phi Beta, or he was part of the Phi Beta Sigma fraternity at Morgan State University. And when I was 14, like when I first got into high school, and I think it was his freshman year of college. Whenever his freshman year of college was, I don't remember. We went down to Morgan State to watch one of his, like, I think it was like his introductory line dance, like the first time that he did a line dance with the Line Brothers. We went down there and watched, and it was very embarrassing. Well, not as embarrassing anymore. I don't really care, but he did the thing, like he did something like this. I don't have a video of it because I didn't have a phone at the time, but I was just so happy to see my brother doing something like so cool. Like I was just like, I walked around campus and it's all black people, and I'm just like, yo, and you know, I see him and doing the line dance. Unfortunately, at the time, there was like one white guy that was part of the frat, but either way, I was like, you know, if you somehow snuck your way into an HBCU, all power to you, bro. But I was just very happy to see him, and I started crying, and I was just like, you know, my brother's not gonna be around anymore. I think that's what it was. Why I started crying was just like happy to see that he's like enjoying himself and having fun at college, but like you're not gonna be around anymore. Like there's not gonna be any more. Well, we watch Naruto every Saturday. Yeah, there's not gonna be any more watching Naruto on Saturdays and calling each other up for openings. There's no more, we're gonna randomly play Halo 3 and listen to Meek Mill. There's no more, you know, you're gonna go hoop outside and then I'll probably come by too to hoop as well with the other people on the block. It's you're gone now. That's why I was crying. So this is like something I've never hated. I've always loved it, but it has been a pivotal part of like his life and my life because it's allowed him to travel the country and like get to know different people from different HBCUs because they had competitions and stuff like that. And this wasn't while he was still in school. I think he was at somebody else's graduation, and he just pulled up, and you know he was like an alumni, so they were just like, all right. I think this was also 2019. I think I was visiting him, and I visited him for a week, but towards the end of the week, my mom doesn't know this, so I hope she doesn't listen back to this commentary. I hope Maggie doesn't snitch either. But when I was visiting him, I went to Super Smash Con for 2 days. So it was like Thursday, Friday, I would visit him, and then Saturday, Sunday, I would come back and end off my week being at his apartment at the time. So if you ask Mikey, for all those of you that know Mikey, Mikey and Gardy met my brother. So that was pretty cool. That trip not the trip kind of sucked, but like there was a lot of things, like a lot of eye-opening things that I learned on that trip, like when I was with him in Baltimore. That maybe I'll talk about some other time on stream. You about to summon Ty talking about HBCUs? I don't want to go into like a whole rant about HBCUs versus PWIs because that's a whole thing in and of itself. But there are a lot of times where I do wish that I had the experience of going to an HBCU, and that's all I'm going to say. If TyQuest disagrees, he disagrees, but for me personally, I really do wish sometimes that I went to an HBCU. And, you know, something that I will let you all in on, the little, like, part where they say Blue Bay, you know, that's me guessing. I actually don't know what they say right there, so it could be something else, but I didn't ask. All right, so new part, back to the audio.
That was something that Shishi and them the other day. Have you talked to Tia?
Say hi, mommy.
Weeks ago.
Say hi.
Hi. Do you want me to make chili sauce for you? I make a chili sauce for you.
I'm gonna say, papa, le Creole qui ça Jewish sauce for. You're American.
Make rice.
Oh, depuis au carré écrit subtitle pour moi. On m'a parlé tout Creole au besoin. Wow, what's up, bro? Chillin', bro. Yeah.
Okay. This was filmed like this Sunday of Thanksgiving, like that Thanksgiving break that I had. So I want to say 11/27 probably. Um, Maggie came over because Thanksgiving weekend, and why not? And that's when we filmed the second interview, because I only need two. I only needed two. And this was during like the downtime because I was already walking around the house, like looking at stuff, and like some of the B-roll you'll see is like of things I have in my house, and it was filmed to the Panasonic GH5, the Temple University equipment office, and I was just like taking video stuff, and I happened to get this. Maggie looking at stuff on, I don't know what website that is. They mentioned Tia, and Tia is also one of our older siblings. Tia's like in her 30s, like her late 30s, I'm pretty sure. This is my mom, Michaela and Arthur. Love her to death. This is my house. That's if you like, hold on, yeah, you can see Brody there got fried. Well, not fried, but my guy got smoked, bro. It's a casualty of war. But that is legume, which is, I think it directly translates to vegetables. But there's a lot of stuff that's in there. I know it's made primarily with eggplant. You can see some carrots in there. There's some, beef in there. And it's just something that we put on top of rice. And you can see over there that there's white rice and there's like pureed beans. Like she blends up beans and uses them as like a bean sauce. And it's really good. It's one of my favorite Haitian dishes. And me and her are speaking in Creole. I didn't mean to say that they're American. I know there aren't Americans that are watching, but saying off top, just bounced from my mom, you feel me? And I said American, Yeah. And obviously I'm having trouble with focus because I don't pull focus often. I don't really like mess around with cameras too much. So you can see me struggle to pull focus on a lot of these shots, but I feel like it gives that home movie feel that a lot of people said that it gives them. And right here, I get this like really good glow on my mom's skin. She looks very pretty here. And then my sister wants to butt in and say, yeah, speak as much Creole as you want. Maggie, if you want to write the subtitles, go right ahead. And then my brother hears me. That's actually my phone. It's not her phone. That's why she has two phones, It's not one for the plug and one for the home. That's my phone, yeah. You can kind of see me right there. And people really like the pre-production line, you know what I'm saying? He threw out a little John for the filmmakers. Feel me? And go back in, you feel me?
I think I have a video on my phone from like 2017, 2016, 2015. It was weird at the time. It was like seeing your face, but not your face, right? Or seeing a face that's familiar, but it's not really like it's unfamiliar at the same time. I just was like, oh yeah, that's just kid. He can never deny that. It's just like him at the same eyes as him. It's crazy.
Alright, I already asked this off camera, but I'm gonna do it on camera for the camera. Who is more like who?
Me and Shishi are the same person, and Didi and Val are the same person, and you are a little bit of Shishi and a little bit of Didi.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah, me and Shishi are. We're just the same person. And it's weird. It's like, and that brings me back to, I hate to do this, but nature versus nurture. You know what I mean? In psychology, when it's like, is a child going to be more like their environment, or is a child going to be more like who they are because of who they are? And I feel like it's a little bit of both, but like when we're all together, you see like it has nothing to do with nature.
But I feel like the nature aspect of it, at least like the environmental setup, is like really similar. Well,
I mean,
as
in
similar as
a
it
sense
could
of
be.
like, are they who they are because of where they grew up,
Well,
or
think
in
about it,
terms of
'cause,
like the parents that they had,
Yeah.
or are they who they are because they're who they are, and we just all happen to be one person?
I'm gonna just go with we're all one person, probably. I'll take that answer.
Okay. A lot there. But this was the second interview that I filmed with Val. I had an interview with him before where I kind of had my phone up to my recording setup right here. It wasn't even with the good microphone that I used at school, but it was with the recording setup right here. Unfortunately, I had forgotten that my Audacity settings were messed up because I was helping my friend record a like a little joke for somebody else's birthday. For those of you that know in the stream, I was helping Puff make a kind of like messed up, like audio wise, like a really, really bad sounding clip for Mikey's birthday. And I left my Audacity like that, and I didn't check when I recorded with Val. So the audio that I got from my interview with Val was genuinely unusable. Like it's the worst audio quality you've ever heard. Thankfully, I got more out of him this time because I didn't put him on the spot. Because last time he was like literally in his car about to come back from work and was like thinking and driving at the same time. So it's like I got good stuff out of him, but this one was a lot better, in my opinion, anyway. Because with Maggie being there, I feel like I always had planned for Maggie to be there while we were recording the interview. Like that was the idea I had in my head. I just wanted it to be initially. I wanted it to be at Maggie's apartment. But I feel like this was a lot better framing. You have Maggie on the left here. You have our family fridge over here. For those with keen eyes, that is me on the fridge. You will never see that picture, ever. Never, ever will you ever see this picture. There's me over here, and I know there's some like Jolly being like a bunch of other random stuff on tables, as is the cases with black households. This was out in Cali when we visited the pier that day. But we were also just at the mall. This is my brother's girlfriend, Lindsay. This is my brother, obviously. There was just some random person. I went back to watch this footage to see why they looked back. But there was just like some random person that was like saying like just random stuff. Not sure if they were homeless or not. Not sure what the deal was with them. But they were just saying random stuff. My brother was just looking at them. Him and Lindsay do the coordinated turn because they're cool like that. This was at the pier, by the beach. There was a kind of like a mini amusement park, and my brother hates roller coasters. I never knew this about him, but he hates roller coasters. So obviously, me and Maggie and Lindsay are like, let's get on the roller coaster, and he's just like, whatever. And me, I'm just getting a survey of the land, and then Maggie decides to do the older sister thing and get my way, and then be weird and wink. But I love that. People don't laugh too much at that wink, but I really like that wink. I think it cracks me up. Maggie, why'd you do that? And then Val gives us a really good breakdown of just like what he thinks about the whole situation without outright saying it. About how Shishi and Didi are so similar to the way that we look, but also just different because obviously their mom is different. But they're still familiar enough. Yeah, I don't know if they have the same eyes as him, but I also don't talk to my dad like that, so maybe they do. Who knows? And then I go back over to talking about like the first interview that I filmed with Maggie, and I talked with her. Give me 1 second. But yeah, this goes back to, and this is Shishi, by the way. This is Shishi. We like the virtual roller coaster I mentioned in like the 30-second mark. This is that virtual roller coaster. Yeah, like VR headsets on, and the seats move and all that. It's really cool. And she was just not having it. You can see. Yeah, she's a hilarious little girl. That's me. That's Didi. When my locks are shorter. I miss this like lock length too. This is very random and very aside, but I miss this lock length. And that's Didi. She didn't know how to get out of the thing, and I had to help her out because she was just confused. Yeah. And Maggie's just good with kids in general, so I'm not even sure if like her and she share that alike, or if they just like she just vibes with every child that she comes across. This is the kind of like courtyard for my brother, at his apartment over here, and it wasn't intentional, but I feel like maybe my mind subconsciously brought me here. But while Maggie's talking about nature, there's all this nature imagery. It's very easy. And like I said, Maggie smoked this interview. Like, she did so well. And like, she brought out stuff that I didn't even think about while I was like going to ask her stuff. Like, she brought up nature versus nurture and all that. And it was just a perfect like transition period between the I guess the first half of this video and the second half. So like I said, I always bring up to Val and Maggie, like, y'all made this so much easier for me than it had to be. Like, I didn't even have to like really dig deep and get too much, because y'all just started just that good. And like, as you can see, there's even less light now than before. So this was like at the end of this video, which is why you don't see any more footage from this angle, because we also just go on to talk about like random stuff. But yeah, pretty good.
Well, one person, probably. I'll take that answer. Alright, so unfortunately for y'all, the rest of this documentary is for my sisters and my family. So everybody else, you guys can go home. You know, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Sorry about that. My fault. They gone? Cool. Alright, you four, listen up. The sibling life is not for the weak. You hear me? Y'all have probably already experienced it, but things can get heated very, very quickly.
Looking at life like that, but when I try to tell you this religion stuff is different, it's a whole complex.
Religion is different. Religion will give you peace.
No, it won't, but okay.
We ain't got to get into that right now, because I don't know if Sean has enough battery. A lot of people do. You never know the day or the hour. Let's just, because it's going to come like a thief in the night. Bah, je suis live dans this morning.
Malcolm X, you feel me? They do more for you than Jesus did, bro.
Bro. Si yo te cloué Malcolm X sous la croix, est-ce que Malcolm X te ka ressuscité? No. What does Malcolm X?
Did he not die for you, bro?
Malcolm X, for me? Malcolm X didn't die for me. Don't ever. Corrige bouchou base. Pas jamais dit ça encore, okay? Ou elle mourir noir dans le ciel, m'a chercher aussi m'a m'a tristoué. But if moun sa yo pas dire yo moun sa yo loi yo moun sa yo loi yo those are not, there's nothing much, but I'm saying, when you think on the grand scheme of things, Jesus sacrificed his life.
If you could...
Alright, so I'm gonna go back. Yeah, first things first, we talk about the one person thing. There is an aside that there's something else I wanted to add in here, where I bring up this thing about like, damn, I hope that doesn't pick up in the mic, talking about the sirens and all the extra shit, all the extra stuff from outside. And it's pretty funny because Maggie's just like, yeah, you shouldn't have wanted to film in Philadelphia. And I feel like it's very funny, but I just didn't have the time. Can't add that. And this right here is when, this is Haiti. For those of you that don't know, this isn't like Florida or nothing like that. This is Haiti. This is my grandma's house. Semi-Kaiti, you know what I'm saying? And this was also something that people really liked. Unfortunately for you, yeah, where I kick people out, you know, people really liked that. There was one time when I did screen this that I actually did stop the video right here. Like, it was at this BIPOC mentorship group. Like, I screened half of it and I just cut it off. I was just like, yeah, I wasn't lying about the rest of it's for my siblings, but I did tell them, like, yeah, you know, I'm not done, but when I'm done and the rest of it is, you know, finished, then I'll send the link out and y'all can watch it. But people like this part, which is very fun. And then I talk specifically to the little girls, you know. Look at the monkeys. We were at like this like resort thing, and I didn't expect them to have like monkeys. And they had like toucans and stuff like that too. I was like, yo, what's going on? But yeah, another thing I like about this frame too is that you can see the food. I haven't touched it. I can't eat it because we're recording, and that's nasty to be eating in the lavalier and all that. But it is there. See, I'm looking right at it. Oh man. Look at all that new growth on my head. Y'all see that? Yo, come on, y'all. Stop playing with my hair games. Yeah, people I heard a lot of chatter during the screening last night too, when this part came up too. People like this a lot. My sister, she's so funny, bro. Malcolm X did more for me than Jesus is a crazy quotable. See, Ray, here's the thing, right? I want to agree because I'm on the Temple University, the little lavalier mics, but I didn't want to say anything, bro. There's so much I cut out of this video because I didn't know what I was allowed to put in. I didn't know if the department was gonna like chastise me. He's like, yo, what is this blasphemous stuff you're putting in this video? So I was just like, yeah, I cut out the least offensive parts of what my brother said. And he didn't say anything crazy, but it's just like he brings up like really religious historical examples. And I'm like, yo, I understand that you're for the cause and you've read a lot of books on this, but there's a reason why those books don't get a lot of play. Do I still have it? Of course I still have all this footage. Come on. But I was just like, there's a reason why they killed Malcolm. Like, honestly, you're trying to be Malcolm, but I'm not trying to get killed. Yeah, my sister. Her and that damn cup, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, people like this part too. My sister is just like full Creole. Don't ever. People, they're cracking up at this part too. Yeah, my mom was just like upset in the back too. She's like, I didn't raise you like this. I was like, all right, we gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up. Cause I think this like, there was an Eagles game coming up too. So I wanted to watch that. And I was just like, all right, we got enough footage. But yeah, I like this frame too. Cause I love Harlem, but I like seeing the Jollibee and I like seeing more of the food. But there is like Harlem does add a lot of like foreground interference. He was spitting. I can't confirm or deny that. I don't want to take sides because I said this in the panel that they had after the showing of all the BIPOC films. But I've been listening to my brother have this conversation with my sister since he started going to an HBCU. It's insane. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna just continue. Turn the audio back up.
Those are not, there's nothing much, but I'm saying, when you think on the grand scheme of things, Jesus sacrificed his life.
If you could, and I'm asking this for the both of you, if you guys could like, I guess, describe what our sibling relationship was like growing up. Whoever feels that they're more prepared to answer the question can go first.
In my opinion, I think it was lit. I think we had a great balance of war, good times. And, I think it was pretty cool. I think we had our great times. I mean, the beef times was pretty funny. When I look back at it in hindsight and see the stuff we used to argue and fight about, I was cracking up. Yeah, like I look back and I like the things that we've been through. I like the relationships that we have with each other. I think it's strong. You know what I'm saying? That's from my lens, my point of view. We have our differences, but what family doesn't? But I don't think our differences are as bad as could be. We still communicate with each other. And I think as long as there's always that line of communication, like I don't think neither of us ever intentionally try to hurt each other. I think things are just misunderstood most times, really. But that's my opinion. I love our relationship.
I think pretty much the same.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut the both of theirs like in half because they do say a lot of stuff, especially Maggie's answers a lot to talk about. So I'll just go with Val's first. I love Val's answer. Here's my mama, by the way. My mama when she was young. Look at my mama. Mama. But yeah, I think at this point in the viewing last night, I realized just how much enjoyment people were getting out of just seeing black people on the screen, right? Just seeing like a fully black production. I don't think there is a single white person in this entire thing. Even when I bring my friends in, none of them are white. So there's no white people in this entire production. It's all multicultural. People just loved seeing a happy black family in film. Which I feel like was perfect for BIPOC, which is why I feel like, I don't know if I was a shoo-in, I don't know what the process, I don't know the panels were, the jurors, I don't know what they said about my film, but I felt like it was a lock because it's just like all black, right? He's my older brother, he's Val, when we were young. Yo, my mom used to have us fitted up, bro. Look at my guy. I will say the only thing that my mom has ever done us dirty with is our haircuts, bro. Like, mom, please. I'm not asking for no. I wasn't asking for no Odell haircuts in like 2003. Nothing like that. It took years for me to be able to get a box top fade. That's the only thing I have a complaint with how my mom raised us. Okay, Weezy. I'm not gonna read that out loud. My sister, look at her, little Disney princess, and I love this angle too. This is just an alternate angle of like where I put the camera later, but like the depth in this picture is just so good. You have the chair right here, you have my mom over here, you have my sister further back, and you have me even further back than that. And there's like almost no wasted part of this frame. Like this frame, and it's just because our house is small, but there's no wasted part of this frame. There is something telling in every single part of this frame, except for this wall here. But obviously it's just a wall. My sister fitted up. My mom still fitted up. Me, I'm livening myself up. But yeah, people really liked when I realized that when people said it, like when my brother said I think it was lit growing up, and people laughed. I was just like, that's such a regular line to me. That maybe it's because I've watched the film so many times, but like it just seems like a regular line to me. People think it's funny when he said a great balance of war, but that's just how my brother talks. And I'm just so glad that people find so much enjoyment in my family members, because like I'm not lying. Like some of the most joyful times of my life is when everybody is home, and we haven't had that like big family outing to where it's just like me, my brother Val, my brother Harlem, my sister Maggie, my brother-in-law Lance, my other brother-in-law Oliver, and hopefully my soon-to-be sister-in-law Lindsay. We haven't had an outing where all of us that's like 8 people. No, it's 7 people. I can't count. But we haven't had the outing where all of us are together in one spot at one time, because it will probably be too chaotic. But I feel like if we were, it would just be the most enjoyable thing ever. Like I really do enjoy being around them. And I'm glad that other people got to see it, and I'm glad I got to make this documentary. You know, these are my sweats from Nintendo NY. Nobody cares, but I just need to flex that I got those sweats at Nintendo New York. They're the most comfortable sweatpants I ever, but the pockets suck. The pockets suck, and I almost lost my wallet while I was in New York because the pockets are trash. Yeah, and he's just essentially saying everything that I just said. From my lens and my point of view, he thought I wouldn't pick up on that little filmmaker bar, bro. I get you, bro. I hear you. Don't worry. From your lens, from your little Voigtlander, I see you, bro. There's my auntie. Y'all saw my auntie? Hold on. There's Maggie too. Like I said, my mom always had us fitted up. This might have been a Maggie original fit, but it was with the stuff my mom bought her. So like, alright, yo, picture day in my household, yo, we used to go so crazy. Mom would have us up like an hour before we ever actually usually used to get up, just so that we could be perfect for pictures. I love my mom so much, bro. But yeah, there's my Tati Fifi right there. That's my Tati, bro. And there's like, some more Haiti as well. But it's my Tati. Or my auntie, sorry. That's Creole. Alright. Back in it.
Haven't intentionally tried to hurt each other. I think things are just misunderstood most times, really. But that's my opinion. I love our relationship.
I think pretty much the same. I don't really think we had any like animosity as siblings, and we didn't really fight about much or for long. But I do think we're really close. I tell people all the time, I'm like, me and my brothers, that's all we got, because we're not really a big family. Like we got 2 cousins. We don't really. It's not much of a sort of. I tell people all the time. I be like, yeah, I don't have a lot of family. I really only got my brothers. And I think I really saw that more at the wedding when everybody was crying. And I'm like, damn, like the whole side is crying, but then y'all made everybody else cry. And I'm talking to everybody after, like, why was everybody crying? And I'm like, this is the first wedding we've ever, you know, we don't have, like, graduations is always us. If it was ever a funeral, it was always us. Like, when we go through our stuff, we go through our stuff together. So, like, I think we're very tight-knit. It's kind of hard for anybody to, you know, run up on me and not get beat up by y'all.
So Z asks, this is the convo that got derailed heavy, right? And I was thinking we lost. Yeah, it is. Sorry, let me mute that. But we started out this conversation like really. Actually, no, it got derailed, but I'm not gonna lie. I kind of accidentally played a part in that. I have to go back and rewatch the footage. But one of the things that I asked my brother in the first interview, the one that we did over the phone that got really messed up because my Audacity settings were messed up, he mentioned something about Shishi to where it's just like Shishi asks a lot of questions. And if she asks too many questions, like my brother said, if she were to ever go into STEM or something like that, she probably wouldn't be religious for a lot longer. And I brought that up because I thought that was a funny line, and I knew my sister was going to have thoughts about that. And I don't know if it jumped immediately into the religion stuff, but no, it wasn't. My sister said a line. What did she say? She said she was talking about my dad, and she said nobody asked to be here. We just got, you know, expelled into somebody's uterus, and then afterwards we were just born. And then that's when my brother said, you know, you have a easy time thinking about that. When I tell you this religion stuff is different, you got bars for me. And that's when they got derailed into the bigger thing. But yeah, this point in time, this was the Sunday of the Thanksgiving break weekend. And this is what my sister and my brother, like, this is when they argued. And Weezy asked, am I the youngest of my mom's kids? Yes. Of my mom's babies, it goes my brother Harlem, my sister Maggie, my brother Val, and I'm the youngest. I'm the baby, even though now I'm 23 years old. So I'm not really a baby anymore, but I am the youngest. But yeah, I love this line a lot because me and Maggie, you can ask Maggie. Well, maybe you shouldn't ask Maggie. Some of you guys can ask Maggie, but me and Maggie had like. We've been through it, and I don't think me and Maggie can ever really hate each other because we've just been through too much. But we used to have like a lot of like fights, and it would be something where we fight over something super petty. We'd be in the same house, we wouldn't talk to each other, and then like a day later, me or Maggie would talk to one another because obviously we need to, and then it'd just be like the beef is squashed right then and there. We wouldn't really confront what happened. Maybe we'd apologize, but for the most part, it was just like we move on. All right, whatever. Because we are siblings. I want to say at one point, maybe our relationship got a bit strained because she found, I guess, God a lot more than I did. And I was still kind of figuring out my religion. I'm still kind of figuring out my religious background. But that kind of, I feel like, strained our relationship because it's like you're spending all your time at church and we don't really hang out as much anymore. And maybe there's like a running pattern of like abandonment, but I don't know. But I'm really glad she said that, and like she genuinely feels that way. Guardian Mikey have done irreparable damage to you. You always forget you're like a year and a half younger than me. I feel like that's just the way that I carry myself. Like, people think I'm a lot younger than I am, that I just act mature sometimes when it's just like, no, I'm kind of old. Just a little bit old, but I don't feel old. I also do feel childish a lot, and maybe that's because I hang around Guardian Mikey and Styles and they are older than me. But yeah, and I'll bring that up a little later because that is kind of relevant to a couple of clips I'm gonna show. Actually, I'll just play the audio.
All the time I'm like, me and my brothers, that's all we got, because we're not really a big family. Like, we got 2 cousins. It's not much of a sort of side.
All right, so I don't think I was actually here for this picture. Like, I'm not in this picture. Low-key, I probably couldn't name like half of the people in this picture, right? But I know that's this is Sabrina. She's not like, we're not related, but she is like a family friend of ours. That's my mommy. I think that's my mommy. That's Maggie, and that's Val. I don't know where this picture was taken, but you know, I don't know who these people are. I don't know why we have this picture. I could probably ask my mom, and she could probably tell me who these people are, but I'm not sure. But I like this picture, so I just, you know, and it's also like a thing where I had trouble like getting the focus on it, because there is like a light right there. Like you can see right here is there's like a source. There's a source light right here. And I had to like kind of like half cover it with my body, but not too much, with like shadow that I cast covers the entire image, but enough to where I can actually like focus on something on this picture. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I've been like, yeah, I don't have a lot of family. I really only got my brothers. And I think I really saw that more at the wedding when everybody was crying.
I was crying. I'm not on picture here, but I was crying. And this isn't my, look at Sarah. That's also a family friend. But I didn't record this footage. This isn't my footage. This was footage from Maggie's videographer at the wedding. They used like, I think they used a Ronin for this. I don't know what the camera they used, but all right, you know, it looks all right. But I am off screen. I was actually one of my brother-in-law's best mans is whatever. So I'm like not on screen here.
And I'm like, damn, like the whole side is crying, but then y'all made everybody else cry. And I'm talking to everybody after, like, why was everybody crying? And I'm like, this is the first wedding we've ever, you know, we don't have.
I think this actually is the first wedding I've ever been to. If there has been another wedding that I've been to, I didn't really care. This is probably like my brother's like fourth wedding or whatever, but I've never really been to weddings like that. My sister probably went to a bunch of weddings too, but yeah. And my sister's tat, it says courage, it says courage, and crew.
Like graduations is always us. If it was ever.
And I like this sequence too right here. I'm gonna let it play and then I'll explain it after.
I'm talking to everybody after, like, why was everybody crying? And I'm like, this is the first wedding we've ever, you know, we don't have. Like graduations is always us. If it was ever a funeral, it was always us. Like when we go through our stuff, we go through our stuff together. So like I think we're very tight knit. It's kind of hard for anybody to, you know, run up on me and not get beat up by y'all.
Okay, so why I really like that shot. I feel like I edited this very well, and maybe it was like an accident. I think I actually just put I put this video track on the timeline and it just happened to match up, and I was just like, wow, I'm him. Like I'm really that guy. But you know, Maggie's talking about graduations, and I rack focus on her, right? And the camera, she's nearly center frame. She's not totally center frame, but she's nearly center frame. Intentional, because she is graduating soon, or she has graduated already. I don't think we haven't seen her walk, but she is done nursing school.
If it was ever a funeral, it was always us. Like,
you know, I don't feel like this is a documentary to explain or talk about who this person is. This is my grandmother, Marguerite Scipion. She is in the special thanks. But she did pass away in 2016, and that was a very tough time for our family. But on a pure technical filmmaker standpoint, I go from Maggie. She's talking about graduations, funeral, talking about my grandmother.
When we go through our stuff, we go through our stuff together. So like. And
then we go through our stuff together, and I bring Harlem into the frame, and I kind of zoom out so everybody can be in it. And I'm saying rack focus on everybody. Unfortunately, with this really good family picture, like one of the only family pictures we have of us all together, it's also the only picture I have where I'm like this fat. I'm not that fat, but I'm like, you know, I got like my little chubby cheeks. Like I got a little chin action going here. Can't really see any definition in my collarbones. So, you know, I'm sorry. Hey man, but yeah, we talk about togetherness and the entire family is here. 3 generations of, I can't even say 3 generations of Solomon or 3 generations of Scipion or 3 generations of R2, because they all, like the matriarchs in my family, they all have different last names. It goes Marguerite Scipion. My mother's maiden name, which is her last name now, is Michaeline d'Artier. And then my sister, she wouldn't have been Artia anyway. She would have been Solomon. But she got married to my brother-in-law, so now she's Beauvoir. So she's not even like, you know what I'm saying? Only the guys still have the last name. And I'm considering changing my name to Scipion. So I might not even be a Solomon for much longer.
For anybody to, you know, run up on me and not get beat up by y'all.
And now she says this, but I laugh because it's something that I used to do when I was younger. When I was younger, my sister was in like 7th or 8th grade, and when I used to be able to read people well, and I used to know people were flirting with my sister, I used to like chase them around. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously they would dust me and leave me like, you know, but it's just like eventually the 4th grader is gonna come back around and start chasing you again. So, you know, I'm just not gonna talk to this girl if her weird ass brother is just gonna bark and chase me around. Like, what, bro? Get him. And yeah, you know, my brother does Muay Thai. Like, Val does Muay Thai, so you know, like you are gonna get. I did not bark, bro. I was a very weird 4th grader. Anything to get this weird away from my sister. Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah.
But at the same time,
I was the original Makima fan. I'm gonna purge you right now. I'm lying. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, just continue.
Kind of hard for anybody to, you know, run up on me and not get beat up by y'all.
But at the same time, some of my greatest joys have come from being around them. Maggie was the ride or die both times when we went to Haiti. I remember comforting her when she was upset because Mom didn't come to Haiti until like a week after we landed and got there. I pretty much looked up to Val like he was my dad for a while, but I think we're coming back around to older brother. Like, I'm starting to lose that, I guess, father mindset whenever I think of him. Harlem shows me what I was like as the annoying little brother, but as for me personally, like the grand scheme of things, I don't really know where I stand in like this sibling dynamic outside of the baby and, in heavy quotations, the spoiled one, because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, you know, yeah, certain people, and yeah.
Okay, so another little monologue.
At the same time,
Like I kind of explained to you guys, my greatest joys have come from being around them. This is also some of the wedding footage from the videographer. I didn't credit the videographer because she took entirely too long and was just not being very communicative with my sister when she was asking for the wedding footage. My sister got married in July of 2022. We didn't get this footage until like right before I finished the project and showed it to my class, which was like December. So for 5 months, there was just no footage, no anything like that. And I know I hate looking through footage, but it's not a lot of footage to look through, right? And if it is a lot of footage to look through and you're very busy, you have to communicate with my sister because she's expecting, you know, a video package in like 2 months because, you know, 2 months is reasonable. But you take 5 months and, you know, she has to go through so many different channels to actually talk to the videographer and get her footage. And I'm not crediting her, you know what I'm saying? I'm not taking credit. Like, it's not my footage. I'm saying straight up, not my footage, but because obviously, you know, as the groomsman, I can't look at, you know, the bride until she reveals herself to the groom and the best man and all that, right? But yeah, I do like this footage. I just wish, like, you know, she got it to my sister in a timely manner. But yeah, both times we went to Haiti, I would have gone crazy if it wasn't for my sister, just because there's not much to do. Because the second time we went, it was during a very dangerous time. Like, they were doing protests, like protesting the government and things like that. So my mom didn't want us like wandering off, like I would in like Montreal or something like that. And like other countries, like if I'm going for a walk and I just disappear for like 2 hours, I'm going for a walk and I'm disappearing for 2 hours. I go for a walk in Haiti and I disappear. I might not come back. So, you know, it was more just like hanging close to our street, and just like enjoying being in a foreign country, like just the sounds and like how hot it is, because the second time we went, it was during like November. Like I dressed for like November weather, or for like November New York weather, because we left from JFK. When I touched down, it's like Port-au-Prince weather. It's like 70 degrees. I didn't take my hoodie off, so I'm just in the truck that we're in, like sweating because it's so hot. But yeah, Maggie was a ride or die. This is us at the resort, and we found a seesaw, and we did that stupid sibling thing where we see a cooperative like activity and both go do it. This was when we were visiting my brother in LA in 2021. Yeah, this was the first, because I remember going to campus for the first time that semester. This is where I met my good friend Gabby, my good friend Carrie, where I met Med, and I met Moon as well. All my film school friends now. We were in this like random like anime merchandise shop that like sold a bunch of Funko Pops, things like that. And my brother was like, I think I've described this on somebody's stream before. I think it might have been Guardies, but it's like that like picture of like Taika Waititi and the character who plays Hela in Thor Ragnarok. But there's like a height difference between Taika Waititi and the actress who plays Hela. And people like caption that image with a bunch of stuff like, me showing my wife the $300 Lego set that I want her to buy for me. And that's pretty much what this was just like, he was just like explaining to her all the different Funko Pops he was gonna buy, and was just like, I like this character a lot, but I actually want this character. And then you can probably see a little bit up here, but also there are like a bunch of like different anime like 3D like graphic posters of like anime characters, and there's one in there of Ace, Sabo, and Luffy, and like depending on what angle you look at it at, it's either Ace or it's Sabo or it's Luffy. And he was just explaining to her like why he wanted these, and trying to like have her make a decision for him on what he wanted to buy, because we also went down there because it was his birthday weekend, and I'm assuming she bought it, but maybe he also bought it too. This is them on the dance floor at the reception, him and my brother. And I wasn't lying when I said that, like, I used to think of my brother as like a father figure. Like, I wouldn't call him much while he was over in college, because I was just kind of going through stuff during high school. So like whenever I would see him, it would be like Thanksgiving or Christmas. We didn't really talk about too much stuff because he was always into anime like I was, but I didn't know what he watched or if he like caught up to anything or anything like that. I just wouldn't talk to him about it because I just like thought so highly of him. And in my defense, he is like 7 years older than me. He was born in 93. I was born in 2000. So there is that like really, it's almost a crazy age gap. Like when I was born, he was already 7 years old. He was starting high school. I was only 7. And when I was starting high school, he was already eligible and able to drink like legally. So in terms of development, him and me were just like worlds apart. And I even now, I still kind of like have trouble separating, like, this is my brother and he's not my dad. And he wasn't really around like during my like really formative years to teach me like manhood and all that stuff. So I kind of just had to like learn that on my own. So for all intents and purposes, he's not my dad. And I kind of just have to like pick up on stuff like that by myself, have to look up how to tie a tie. If I ever got into a fight, I'd have to figure it out myself. Thankfully, I haven't, because I don't really talk to people, so I can't piss anybody off. But, things like that. I would, like, text him a lot of times and ask him stuff, but, like, I just feel like the relationship is different. Like, it is just, like, an older brother thing. Like, he's just my really older brother, pretty much. Yeah. And my brother Harlem, you can probably hear him right now in the back, but like, I don't know. I don't really have too much to say about Harlem. He hasn't met the girls. He's not in the documentary much, despite living with us, because he hasn't met a lot of the girls, and I feel like it's redundant to go over with him what I've already gone over with Maggie and Val. And I never shy away from showing him. I know that he is like different and like physical and like mentally different than the rest of us, but I don't shy away from showing him because he is still part of his family, no matter what anybody says. But I didn't like interview him because it's just like all the stuff that I talked with Maggie and Val, he would probably also be able to like co-opt and say the same things. And I kind of already know his opinion on like the whole situation. He hasn't met them, and one of the goals that I had for this documentary was that I didn't want to talk about my father at all, and that's kind of like the only angle that he can tackle this from, which is why I didn't have my mom and my brother in there. And I really wanted to. Like, they asked me, like, oh, are we getting interviews too? And I was like, I really want to, but like, you guys don't have anything to talk about with my dad. But I don't want to talk about my dad too much. Like, I don't want to slander his name. I don't want him to be in the documentary outside of the very crucial, essential facts. Because when I told somebody, I'm not going to say who, don't ask me, but I talked to somebody else about it, and I gave them the whole picture of what happened with my father, you know, talking to him for the first time in, how long has it been? 9 years? Yeah, 9 years. Because it was before my birthday. So about 9 years. And hearing from him, I told him the story of what happened and why I still, even now, have come to my own conclusion that I don't like him like that. Like, I don't want to have a relationship with him, and he's just going to not be part of my life. I told them all that, and the answer that I got from them felt very exploitative, with just what they were telling me in response. Like, they were telling me, oh, you know, the story that I would have told if I put my father more into it. They're just like, oh, this good festival, you know, with the festival you can apply to a lot of grad schools, and with a lot of grad schools you can come back and teach for Temple. But I was just like, I never even mentioned any of that. I didn't mention TAing or being a grad student or going to a lot of fests. Like, obviously I want to do that, but I don't want to do that on the back of having a film about black pain and black trauma and the broken black household. I don't want to retread over old ground. Like, there's plenty of other things you can go to find that, but I don't want that to be what my films are. I want my films to be happy and make people laugh and, you know, make people cry too. And that's something that I achieved with this on both fronts, to where even last night when I saw the movie, I cried. Like, I cried at the end of my own movie. Like, I was just so happy and moved by what I got to create and how much the audience enjoyed it, that I felt that I just, you know, I had to shed a few thug tears, you know what I'm saying? And then, all right, exactly. Like, you get it, Weezy. It's a nasty angle, and, you know, maybe they were just trying to say, like, you know, in terms of, like, thinking about my future. But at the same time, it's, looking back on it, it's very funny, and, you know, this was completely by accident, but looking back, it's very funny that they encouraged me to go through all this grad school stuff and, you know, be a TA and all that. But the Temple University Graduate Student Association is striking right now, and it's making national headlines. There are actual politicians in office with positions of power that are speaking about this. Senator Bernie Sanders is talking about it, and my friend just told me that John Fetterman is also talking about it. And I saw something about the Senate earlier, but, you know, I don't like to doom scroll and, like, look at all that stuff. But, like, you know, you want to say all these good things that grad school can do for me, when, in my opinion, it is just another few years of doing the same thing that I'm already doing now. Maybe if I were to grad school at, like, USC, but even USC is striking right now, so I don't know where I'd go. But all in all, the ultimate goal was to make something without harping on my dad. And, you know, I may not like him at all. I may have a lot of negative emotions towards him, but I don't want... Another reason why I didn't want to put Alex and Tracy and Laura in it is because, you know, I don't want to put their faces out there. Somebody else goes and finds them. Hey, look at this documentary that, you know, your cousin made or something like that. They show it to them, and then they see it, and it's just a bunch of slandering one of their relatives, and maybe they don't have the same type of relationship with him that I do. So having people see my way of it is just going to be hard, and I don't want people to go out there and attack him and tell him, oh, you're a bad dad or whatever. I don't want people to, you know, if this were to get enough attention, people are like, oh, I saw a documentary that your son made and he said this, not about you. And it's just like, I don't want any of that. I want any of that. I want it to just be a happy story about black people being happy about, you know, growing up. Because that's what this story is also about. It's about growing up, you know. When I was 16, I had different emotions about having a younger sister than I do now. And now I just want to be there for my younger sisters if they ever need me. But I don't want them to feel like they're not part of the family ever. Because I know that when they go through that teenage phase, they're going to get really edgy, and they might say stuff that they don't mean. But I want them to think back on this video and be like, you know, there are brighter spots ahead, even if we have argued a lot. Me and Maggie have argued a lot. We've said a lot of dumb stuff to each other that we didn't really mean. But now we're good. Like, I text her almost every day. We send TikToks to each other every day. Like, when she moved out, I actually got a little bit sad because it's just like, I fell into a routine of like being at this computer right here, and then Maggie comes home, and then Maggie interrupts me to talk about something. Like, she still does that sometimes because she still does have a key to the house, but it's not every night that she does it. And I do miss it. I do miss living with her, but I understand that as we grow up, things have to change. And this is as much a film about growing up for them as it is for me. And that's what I'm realizing right now talking about it. And yeah. One other thing that slept on, that Styles did, the GOAT, Styles X2. This background with this crinkled paper is very school, very elementary, and it also brings into like the adolescence factor of the whole movie too. So Styles is a GOAT for this too, my GOAT. Yeah, Weezy. Like, people rarely see things the same when they already, yeah. And it's something that like, even my siblings have different opinions as well, because we all grew up years apart from each other. So, for example, I don't have a lot of memories of my father, right? So him leaving is just like I barely even got to know you. Where did you go? Like, why did you leave? Kind of thing, right? My sister knew him for a bit longer than I did, because I remember my father leaving, was it 2004? So 1997, my sister was 7 years old when he left, right? I was 4. And my brother Valerie was already, let's see. So 7 years. So he was already 11, right? I can't do math, I'm sorry. So we all have wildly different memories of that day. They can probably see it a lot more viscerally than I can. And the only thing I remember is we were playing like Twilight Princess or something like that. We rented Twilight Princess, right? That game came out when? I might be a liar, hold on. Came out 2006. So I'm a liar. I don't forget what Zelda game it was. Maybe Wind Waker? Sorry. I have a computer in front of me. I'm going to use it. It was Wind Waker, because that came out 2002. And I remember we were playing some Zelda game. We didn't really know where we were going. And then we just heard yelling from downstairs. And that's just like, that's all I remember. Is going downstairs and just seeing the police. And that was it. And they remember it differently, and they have different relationships with him. My brother's a lot closer to him than my sister and I are. Me and my sister still hold that kind of resentment towards him. My sister holds a little, she holds more resentment than me, because I feel like my sister is a lot less apathetic than I am. I really just kind of like let things go. The way I describe it to some people is like, I let people, like, I don't get upset about things too much, because I just let people self-destruct, because I'm a bad person, and that's true. So when I heard the situation of like all the things that I've wanted to hear for years to understand what happened and all this and all that, I just let my, and I hate to like turn this into that, but I know people are going to ask. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit and then never again. You know, like when he explained all the questions that I've had since I was a child, and talked about all that stuff, I kind of just like I knew what he was saying was just incorrect and just not wrong based on just what I know, and what I've been told from my sister and my brother and my mom. And knowing my mom, I can understand that like might be some irrational things, but there are some irrational things that she wouldn't do for no reason. If she's gonna do something dumb, if anything, crazy way to talk about my mom, right? But if she's gonna do something dumb, she's gonna do something dumb for a very informed reason. So I was able to see inconsistencies in what he was saying, and I just kind of let him keep going and just talking, because it's just like, all right, well, I already made up my mind because based off of what you said, so I'm not even gonna try to correct you, because you know, you knew this conversation was happening. I was supposed to have the conversation with him on a Monday. All right, this was sometime in September. On a Monday, I was supposed to have this conversation with him, but I was watching a Dragon Ball movie with my friend, my online friend, Pony. If any of you know Pony, only the people in the stream are gonna know Pony, but Pony is one of my online friends. We were watching Dragon Ball, and my brother was like, he called me, or we were going on the way to watch Dragon Ball, and my brother called me. Was like, "Hey, are you ready to have a conversation?" I was like, "I'm gonna go watch Dragon Ball. Like, I'm not trying to talk about that." And so he's like, "All right, we'll do it tomorrow." So I even gave him an extra day to get your story straight and talk about it. And he came at it with a bunch of nonsense, and I was just like, okay. So I was just like, if you don't want to be truthful with me, then I'm not going to give you any chances. I'm not going to, say much. And Z, I did push back on some things. Some things I did push back on because it was just so, he was directly contradicting himself. So I wanted to try to attempt to, like, shoot him some bail, right? By saying, hey, you said this, but wouldn't you just assume that it's this instead? And he told me, no, it's what I said initially. And I was just like, all right, put my hands up. He couldn't see my hands because we were on a regular call, not FaceTime. I put my hands up. I was like, all right, man. And yeah, I didn't want to get into a full-blown argument if I pressed him. I just kind of let things be and just left it there. And I don't talk to him anymore. He doesn't try to call me anymore. I ended up shooting a wedding. I ended up being a videographer for a wedding. I have to stop using shoot in that context with events because it's going to get me in trouble. I did photography for a wedding, right? And he happened to be the pastor. And after we had done, after the like initial wedding, like the actual ceremony, right? He attempted to give me a hug. I gave him a firm handshake and kept going because I did not want anything to do with him anymore, and just kept it pushing. And that was the last time he tried to talk to me. I didn't argue with him. I didn't scream at him. I didn't do any of the things that I thought I was going to do when I was younger, because it's not going to do me any favors, right? After I had that conversation with him the first time, where my brother was also on the line, I called my friend Victoria, right? And we talked about it, and I got really mad. I was walking around the neighborhood. It was probably like 9 o'clock at night. I had a water bottle in my hand because I intended to throw it in a fit of rage at one point. But as I was explaining to her, I got like less and less angry, and I was just like more like disappointed. Like, it sucks. And you're right, Weezy. After so many years, it's not even worth getting upset. Like, it's not going to change anything. Like, I don't get those years back. I don't get a different childhood. I don't, it's not going to make, it's not going to make Shishi and Didi any less legitimate on my sisters, depending on how mad I get and how much I reject him. Like, nothing changes. I'm just upset now. Which is a perfect segue into this last part, right?
As for me personally, like the grand scheme of things, I don't really know where I stand in like the sibling dynamic outside of the baby and, in heavy quotations, the spoiled one, because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, certain people, and yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
It's an older brother, like I'm starting to lose that, I guess, father mindset whenever I think of him.
Y'all gonna watch this Smash clip.
Me what I was like as the annoying little brother.
Y'all gonna see my little funky little doubles clip. Right. This is my brother's cat Pepper. He's very emotional. He's a very emotional cat. There's a video I have to where I put my leg on either side of him. He's like standing up, right? In like that little cat stance. And I just stand on either side of him, and he looks like up at me, like back and forth. And then he just like lays over and then just starts attacking one of my legs for no reason. I don't know why he did that. I didn't do anything to him.
I don't really know where I stand in like this sibling dynamic outside of
my guy Johan, Max, if you ever watched this, you know what I'm saying? This was right after the Ravens beat the Titans. After, after they embarrassed us the last year. So because my friend was talking shit. Sorry. He was talking a lot of smack about Lamar. He was really playing with my guy's character. And after we won, I got a little video with him. You know what I'm saying? Post-game interview, right? This is, I was at Neshaminy Creek Brewing Co. And they had like a Smash like doubles tournament. Because my friend's cousin, Balo, got really into Smash out of nowhere. Because it was so weird. There was one week where we were watching, the Eagles game, watching the NFL. And it was like halftime or something. And Balo pulls up his phone and is watching something. And I hear some music and I hear some noises. And I'm like, is he watching The Salt is Real? And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, it was just such a surreal moment. I was just like, what the fuck? Sorry. But he really got into Smash. And then they found this, like, how long ago was this clip? This was before I got locked. So it was probably like 2019? Yeah, this is 2019. Were you here? No way. No way you were here, Keith. Your coworker used to run. Yo, the world is so small, bro. The world is so incredibly small. Have you ever gone to one of these events, Keith? But yeah, I'm gonna keep talking. You don't think you were at this one specifically? Were you at a singles one where they ran like singles for Smash? Cause I went to the one where they ran singles too. That was like a little bit after. I forget. You were at a singles one? I think I remember seeing you there. Cause we might have been at the same one. I probably just didn't know you at the time. But sorry, I was talking to somebody in the chat who's also from Philly. I think I remember it, but yeah. Balo was like, let's go out to this event. You know what I'm saying? I think he said his coworker was also here. It was Balo and it was Balo and Dave, I'm pretty sure. Sorry to put everybody's first names out there, but he invited us to come here and play because he knew I played a lot of Smash and he knew Miguel also played a lot of Smash. So we're just like, all right, yeah, I'm going thinking that we're about to get smoked. But we do pretty good, right? We did a lot of like training beforehand, like, just playing, just getting to know doubles. We played against Dave and Balo a lot. And they were good. Like Dave and Balo really put in like a lot of research in the game. Like they were watching like my Smash corner clips for Ultimate. I'm just like, all right, they're like in the blender right now. And I'm messing around. I'm playing Joker. I don't play Joker. I'm not good at Joker. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not good at this character. And Miguel's playing Ganondorf because, like, in doubles, you can just, especially this type of doubles, it was team attack off. So Miguel was actually just free to just hit buttons and get a kill at some point. He if I was a betting man, I would put Miguel anytime smash attack kills anything because he's going to get one, right? And all he needs is one. He's either getting a smash attack or a side B because that's just how Ganondorf works in no team attack doubles, right? So, like, their family was like watching us. They saw that there was a Twitch stream, and one of the family members was just like in the Twitch chat watching.
Grand scheme of things,
and then
I stand in like the sibling dynamic outside of the baby and in heavy quotes.
I had a little dash attack, and then he just scoops. You can see him scoop Jigglypuff out of the goddamn sky.
Outside of the baby.
Protecting the Gerudo Valley skies. You see.
Spoiled one because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, certain people, and yeah.
And
all the stuff about my.
This is like the most I've drifted out of my family in this entire documentary. I did plan for there to be a part of this documentary where I go to other people and have them describe their sibling relationship. Like I just walked around campus and asked people, "Hey, do you have any siblings, or do you have cousins that you feel like are siblings?" And I kind of move away from my family to show it to Shishi and Didi, like, everybody has these kinds of like family dynamics, and people say all beautiful things about their family members, and I'm not really good at words, so I'll just have them do it instead, and I'll co-opt their message and give it to you guys. When I ran that by my class, they hated it. They despised it. They hated it so much. They were just like, I don't really care about these people. I care about you and your family, so I just want to see you and your family more. You know, it just doesn't feel strong. And even my professor was just like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. The rest of the documentary is good, but I'm not feeling it. And I was just like, damn, all right, you know. They were a bit harsher than I wanted to hear, but they were kind of right. Because I really liked what my friend Gabby and my friend Sophie said. And I wish I put them in too when I was just showing all this stuff. Maybe instead of like me and the cat, I show me and Sophie and Gabby. But I don't think I have any pictures of all three of us together. I think it's just like Sophie and Gabby and then maybe a picture of me. We're here for you and your family. Yeah.
As for me personally, like the grand scheme of things, I don't really know where I stand in like this sibling dynamic outside of.
And you know, the point of me also showing Johan and Miguel is that like they're family to me now. They're my family members. You know what I'm saying? We've been through so much. They've been there for me thick and thin, literally anything, and they're part of my family.
The baby and
Miguel especially, because like when I first started going to, sorry, I dropped my bracelet. When I first started going to Miguel's house to watch Eagles games, I was just kind of apprehensive because like I'm not too good with parents in general. Like I'm not like as charismatic or as funny as they want to be. Now I'm good with them to where I literally call Miguel's uncle, like I call him uncle too. Also because I don't know his first name, so I can't call him nothing. I'm gonna just call him Uncle Lugo. And he calls me nephew now too. And they've kind of like reframed what a family is like. And I was supposed to get an interview with Miguel about his little sisters because he and I are kind of in a similar situation. We're just like randomly in our lives, we've kind of like had family members sprung on us. His was in a different context to mine, but I still wanted to get an interview with him and talk to him about it. But if I did get an interview with him, this video is going to be entirely too long. So I'm glad that we never did get the interview because I was just at work, which is something I'll explain at the end as well. But this Smash clip is like near and dear to me, to my heart, because the best part about this all is that after we won the tournament and I got the hoodie that I don't know where it's at because Maggie stole it, I got a gift card to the brewing company too, but I was 20 at the time, so I couldn't like cash in at all. And I got this clip with my Drop of Draco hoodie that Gardy got me. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of good things happened in this clip. But after we won the tournament, Miguel's dad was like, I made so much money side betting on you. And that's where I feel like our relationship is like his dad and me being his son's best friend, like strengthened because he made money off of me. And I was just like, I don't know. I this was really good for me. I'm just so proud of this clip. Even though it's literally just a simple side B or dash attack in a side B, I just really enjoy it. You know?
In heavy quotations, the spoiled one, because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, hey, you know.
And here are all my friends. There's Miguel, there's Johan, there's me, there's Josh, there's Owen. We were in Boston visiting Owen because Owen goes to school up here, and Owen has a white girlfriend and doesn't visit us much, so we go up to him, you know.
Oh, yeah, certain people, and yeah. I'm sure.
Here's me, baby me, but let me just let this part finish out, sorry.
Sharing all this stuff about my family to show you guys that even though we weren't raised together, we're still siblings. Something that you guys understood the first time that we met, and something that I didn't really understand, and that you guys kind of showed me.
Focus on the people that care about you. Okay? Love on those that love on you. Period. And don't ever let nobody bring you down. And bon Dieu à la porte.
Amen, sister.
Bon Dieu à la porte.
Amen.
Okay? But I don't have no problems because I'm going to say your l'église yo na pied bon Dieu. Bon Dieu à la porte, porte la glace, ça va.
Everything should be rooted in love, no matter what. If something contradicts love, then you gotta ask yourself, you know, why is it doing that? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I base on everything off of. Like, am I coming from a place of love? What is, you know, is this healthy? Love, you know what I'm saying? And health as well. So, you know, go through life. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and you know, don't be afraid to stick with what you want to stick with. You know, so you know, we things aren't just as easy as they may seem. Just keep an open mind.
Okay, before I get to the credits, I have to go back again. You talking about? Hold on. You Sorry, but Keith, you're talking about. Let's
the
see.
baby and in heavy quotations the spoiled
Wait, this guy? Or this guy right here? I'm pretty.
one because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, hey.
Because that might be Balo. I don't.
And in heavy quotations the spoiled.
I mean, this clip is also in 360p, so it could be literally anybody. No, because that might be Balo in the back. Now, this guy definitely lost somebody. Mr. Lugo came around talking about, see you on a side bet.
Spoiled one because I really wasn't that spoiled, but I mean, hey.
I still suck at pop balls, but I was really proud of that. But
Certain people,
yeah.
I'm sharing all this stuff about my.
Here's me.
So you got.
Like I said, my mom had us fit it up. The Haitian barber I went to kind of messed me up, but you can't really see in the pictures because the middle school photographers were on that. You know what I'm saying? I was glistening too. She had me on moisture. Sorry, I'm getting. Oh my god. Let me just finish the video.
We're still siblings.
But yeah, here's the picture that Didi comes from. Here's Shishi from. I can't wait to show Shishi and Didi this video so that they can see this part of the video and start cringing, right? Because Maggie does this to me every birthday on Instagram. So I get to do it to y'all until the end of time. There's Val. This is Maggie. And here's the full picture that of what we wore that day. You know, the little ones. Shishi, Didi, Maggie. I forgot whose car this was. I think this was Lindsay's car. Here's me. Shoes are untied.
Something that you guys understood the first time that we met, and something that I didn't really understand, and that you guys kind of showed me.
Focus on the people that care about you. Okay? Love on.
I love this frame of Maggie too because like there's a lot of like negative space here, right? And the thing isn't here. But she has such a commanding presence that you don't even really think about that.
Those that love on you.
She has such good camera presence.
Period. And don't ever let nobody bring you down. And bon Dieu à la porte.
And I love everybody laughs when my mom says that. Oh, it's so funny.
Bon Dieu à la porte. Okay? But I don't have no problems because I'm connected with you. L'église, you know, bon Dieu. Bon Dieu à la porte. Porte la glace, ça va le faire.
Everything should be rooted in love, no matter what. If something contradicts love, then you gotta ask yourself, you know, why.
And this was obviously my brother's birthday when we went over there. So little birthday cake for him, even though it was like 10 or something like that. My mom was knocked out, but yeah.
Why is it doing that? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I base on everything off of. Like, am I coming from a place of love? What is, you know, is this healthy? Love and health. You know what I'm saying? And health as well. So, you know, go through life. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And, you know, don't be afraid to stick with what you want to stick with, you know? So, you know, life is just complicated. People are complicated, and you know things aren't just as easy as they may seem. Just keep an open mind.
Yeah, so my brother always has bars. That's how I know that he's gonna be a good dad because he always just has like random anecdotes and things like that to bring to show to people and like, you know, do this, don't do this. It's not worth it to do this, and he's always been right. So I know he's gonna be a good dad. And one of the things that I'll always hold over him, but I think he didn't tell me for a reason, is that like him and Lindsay are expecting a kid in July, and I feel like that would have been something really good to put in the documentary. But I feel like I know why he didn't tell me. And it's probably because he wants a documentary for his kid when he has one. Like a later video for that. Maybe like a Perfect Strangers 2. Or whatever I call it in the future. I don't think it'll be a Perfect Strangers 2, but it'll be something. It'll be titled something really fitting. And I guess He got documentary money? Yeah, because I don't have a GH5 no more. I ain't got no Benro tripods. I don't got no Tascam DR10Ls. I ain't got none of that. So I'm gonna need to get that equipment from somewhere. But yeah. I know he's gonna be a good dad, and I'm really proud and happy for him. And all that. And I feel like I tried to make this film as intentional as possible, right? I did everything I wanted in terms of, except for get the girls. Like, even though I couldn't get the girls for an interview, I wasn't able to go to their house because, you know, things just fell through. This wasn't my first choice for a documentary to make. I actually wanted to make like a Smash Brothers documentary, like a graffiti documentary. I wanted to do all that. But I feel like despite the odds and despite everything that happened in the process of making this and kind of like the adversity I had to push back against and kind of like carve my own path and do what I wanted to do, I'm still really proud of this. And it's probably going to go down as one of the best things I ever make. Even if like I get way better technical skills in making stuff, I feel like it's still going to be up there because it's such a personal thing, you know. Even down to the music, which was my point entirely. The Melee intro I used because childhood game, comedy from a family anime, and then the lake theme is like, I know the lake theme, people like rag on the lake theme so much, but that's such a beautiful piece of music. Like, I genuinely think it is a beautiful piece of music because like piano in itself is just such a beautiful sound, and I feel like that's one of like, not one of, but it is a really good piece that really utilizes like the piano sound. Even though there is like, I know people rag on it because like the breakdown at one point is like a little silly and detracts from the song, but I feel like it's good because it just gives you like that childhood. It's like, it's the epitome of like a Pokemon song feeling. That sense of adventure and that sense of mystery and that sense of understanding too. And Pokemon Diamond is something that me and my brother really bonded on. Like, our whole family bonded over watching, because we had Pokemon Diamond and we watched the anime at the same time. So we tried to do a bunch of like stuff that didn't exist in the game, and we got all of our knowledge from the show that we used it in the game. The Pokédex entries we got from the show wasn't the same as the game. Fantina used to cook us when we were kids. Like, that's why Gen 4 is my favorite. Like, I don't care if Gen 5 is better or, you know, Scarlet Violet is the best Pokemon. I think Gen 4 is still going to be my favorite, just blatantly off of nostalgia, right? It's the same thing with Naruto. Like, it's just, the nostalgia is just too good. And that theme song, like, the lake theme, literally, why do you think it has such a chokehold on people where people make the same post about it all the time? Because it's a good piece of music, and it's something that represents our childhood. And that's why I put it here at the end, because it's also just like the song that I had before, and I have you can tell that the YouTube version has different music. The YouTube version has Harris Cole as Black Triforce, and it has Garrod at the end. I put Garrod at the end because I like Valhalla. I put Black Triforce because, you know, that song is good, and I put Harris Cole in because I felt that song fit the opening at the time. But I like the Lo-Fi Leah music better because Lo-Fi is easier to listen to and it doesn't detract. It doesn't have like super heavy, like very loud melodies to like detract from what's being spoken. And I feel like it is just perfect music to have in the background that you can hear, and you can at least hear, hey, this sounds cool or this sounds nice, but it doesn't distract you from what's happening on the screen. It's not a very loud genre of music. But also, like, it's easy to find remixes of those songs. Like, there was a different Melee remix I was going to use, which is even how I found Lo-Fi Leah. Like, I wanted to use the Melee intro. Like, there's a song. Hold on, I can play a few seconds of it so everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's called My GameCube Broke by Uzu. Right. It goes a little something like this, right? I'll just double audio, my fault. And maybe I could have used that song. Like that's a good song, right? It's just not good for the vibe of the documentary I was going for. But I really wanted to use a remix of that song that used that like one part of the Melee intro. So I found Lo-Fi Leah's version, and her, like if you listen to her version, it goes incredibly hard as well, to where it even takes like it has its own like breakdown section of the All-Star theme before it actually continues with the entire Melee opening. Like, it's really good. And maybe the Uzu version could have been what I used for the outro instead of the Lake theme. But I feel like it's too high energy. Like the drums are too hard. And it like cuts all the music out like in between like the drums and like the rest of the instruments. Too hard for it to be part of this documentary. So I went with lo-fi because it's easier to digest and it doesn't like raise emotions too much. If there's anything that I want to raise emotions, it's that, you know, the funny parts, or when Maggie and Val are arguing, like maybe you feel a type of way, maybe you take a side, right? But even then you see like Val also has his God is dope t-shirt, so it's like he still has a sense of spirituality even if he's like, you know, saying all this stuff. But you know, he's got to call it like he sees it. He's a guy in STEM. My sister's in science, technology, engineering, math. STEM too, right? Nursing is science. So she's also part of STEM. I'm the only loser not in STEM. I'm in film. I'm an art kid. Like, you know, they just don't see eye to eye. So that's what I want to raise emotion. I don't want the song to intentionally raise anybody's emotion. Except for I want the Lake theme to raise your emotion in a different way, because like I said, the song is inherently sad. And I want people to, this is the end of the video. I want you to feel sad. And you know, I got my Eagles gear on. Sunday, you know what I'm saying? We get this championship. I'll see Keith on Broad and Diamond. I'm sorry. Okay, let me stop. But yeah. I actually emailed her too, because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to use her music. And the only reason why I didn't keep the music from the other version is because I didn't want to email all three of those people. Because the last time I emailed somebody for credits to use their song Flamingosis, they didn't get back to me. So I found Lo-Fi Leah's channel, and I found out that she had like an FAQ about like using her music. And if I make a certain amount of money, then she does want to be paid for, you know, me using her work. But I'm not getting paid because the algorithm and all that stuff. If I do get into a festival and I do make money from it, then I have to donate to her either through her Ko-fi or like her Patreon. She has a, you know, a licensing tier or something like that, and I will do that. Like, I'm not even playing. Like, you know, I feel like maybe I should even slide her a couple dollars on Ko-fi, because like I feel like the music makes this documentary a lot, and it's such a part of the identity of it. Like, it's very, like, the music was very intentional. If there's one thing it's a very, unfortunately, in film school you can't use music too much. But I feel like music is such an afterthought in a lot of films. Maybe it's because I watch a lot of Marvel movies, but very few of them do they have like a part in the score where I'm just like, this song goes. One of the few examples that I have is Moon Knight's OST. When, I think it's like episode 3 or 4, when Moon Knight loses his powers because him and Khonshu are like moving the stars back to figure out what constellation was where at a certain moment in time to find something. I don't remember. I watched Moon Knight a very long time ago. But that song that plays while they're moving the stars is it's so fire. It's so good. It's so gas, all the adjectives you want to add to it. It's so good that, like, I like Moon Knight more than I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, artistically, I like Moon Knight better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even somewhat Loki, because like it has a lot of strong colors, it has a lot of strong cinematography, a lot of strong CG, like informed CG too. Like the direction on that show is so strong. Like I love the direction. I wish the story was better, but because of the music, it just puts me over a lot of Marvel stuff because I can't recognize the music. Like a lot of the characters don't have a theme, right? Avengers have a theme. Like Thanos had a theme, like a theme song that you can point to and be like, that's Thanos' music right there. The Guardians they don't have like a specific, though they probably have a specific theme, but that theme isn't strong. The strong theme that the Guardians has is just like any kind of like 70s, 80s rock, which is why I feel like, you know, Thor leaning into that 70s, 80s rock, like a leitmotif. Yeah, like a leitmotif, right? A lot of Marvel doesn't have they don't have like a strong leitmotif or a theme song, right? Because it's like if I ever hear Porch just randomly, right? Like the song in Infinity War's OST, I think of Thanos sitting down with that sunset hitting him on the 3/4. He might have a little Rembrandt patch. I don't remember. He might have a Rembrandt patch on that damn CGI. You know what I'm saying? When I hear the Avengers theme, I instantly know it's the Avengers theme, and that song is so iconic. But like I don't remember no like Thor theme or no like Captain America theme. I know the Iron Man 3 theme because I like that song, like the actual like what the composer made for Iron Man 3's theme. I like that theme a lot, which is also funny because that's also another controversial MCU movie where I kind of do like the direction for that movie. Like a lot of the movies I don't feel like have a very strong leitmotif or a very strong like musical language to back up the movie. And like I was saying about Thor, like Ragnarok and kind of like Love and Thunder kind of just take what the Guardians try to do with this 70s, 80s rock aesthetic, and I feel like it doesn't work because it's just like, you know, you can do that like once, really. You can't really do that again. You can't keep doing that with like superheroes. You can't keep doing the 70s, 80s rock thing. And I know even James Gunn tries to do that again with Peacemaker, but I feel like it also falls flat with Peacemaker. Or it almost falls flat with Peacemaker. Why it doesn't fall flat with Peacemaker, and then I'm going to get back to the actual documentary. Why it doesn't fall flat with Peacemaker is because Peacemaker has an iconic intro. Where James Gunn probably realizes, all right, if I don't do something special with Peacemaker, he's just going to be like Guardians, which also has a copycat in Thor already. So they do that thing where in the intro of Peacemaker, they have like a little dance routine that also goes on with the song. And since you hear that theme song every episode, you also like, you get accustomed to it. You think of this song, I forget what it's called. It's called Glam something. What is it called? No, it's Wigwam. Do you want to taste it? Yeah. And that song is like akin, like it's hand in hand with Peacemaker right now because it's a song that everybody hears and it's almost unskippable because I feel like that intro dance is so good. Like it's so good. Even if you don't like the show, you don't even like you like the song. The song is good. You can all agree the song is good. So music is something that's very I just listed a bunch of movies that I watched and how the songs play a part in it. Same thing with the Batman, right? On TikTok, right? Or when like after Batman came out on TikTok, there's just all these like TikToks about people in Batman costumes doing kind of the same joke, but the joke plays around, the two songs that were very strong in that movie, which is Something in the Way and the main theme by Michael Giacchino. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but forgive me if I didn't, right? Giacchino, the main theme of the Batman, I feel is incredibly iconic and incredibly well orchestrated and performed. And I'm not a music major, but I can hear something that like defines a character. Like this feels like a Batman theme. And somebody else can probably explain it way better than me, but when you hear it, you can tell that this is Batman. You think the CH makes a K sound? I'm gonna just call him Michael G. I'm gonna call him Mikey G. Mikey G, like, it's something that you hear one time and you're like, this is a Batman theme. And the way that he placed, like, you hearing the full apex of the song, like, it's very distinct, yeah. And the way that Matt Reeves used, like, he saved the entire, like, full climax of the theme for probably the most Batman part of the movie, where he's chasing the Penguin in the Batmobile, because a lot of, like, Batman media now doesn't use a Batmobile because people think it's corny, or they give him, like, a tank or something, or give him, like, a bike. But he actually uses, like, an actual Batmobile with, like, the little, like, wings and, like, all the, like, it's a muscle car straight up. And the Penguin sees the Batman walking towards him, being backlit by fire, and the music is blaring, and it's just like, oh my goodness, right? And the music helps that movie so much. And I wanted this music to help me so much. And it did. Like, Melee helped bring in people, like, this inviting kind of, like, very cinematic song. Like, the Melee intro is very cinematic. Like, that one part that everybody fixates is very cinematic because, you know, I think, what is it? It's Zelda's playing a harp, right? Let me look. And I'm sorry that this ended up being, like, a 3-hour portion, right? I didn't expect it to be this long. I thought it was going to be, like, maybe Fringe, like, 1:30, and it ends up being almost 3 hours. But it's not Zelda. It's Sheik that's playing a harp, right? Sheik playing a harp under the moonlight by a lake or some body of water. And then as the music swells, the camera pans up, and then you see Zelda. Like, Zelda's silhouette is up there. And then in the stars, and it goes towards Kirby. And then you see Star Fox and Star Wolf facing off. Like, it's a very, like, cinematic part of the song. So I wanted that to invite people in. Just like the Melee intro invited a lot of people in. A lot of people saw the Melee intro, and they were like, I want to play this game. This looks hard. What? The music? All right, come on. Comedy is something that a lot of people know right now because of Spy Family, and they like Spy Family because it's funny and it's a very heartwarming thing, which is, like, kind of the entire point of this documentary. And the lake theme is something that a lot of people listen to de-stress and kind of, like, cry and kind of, like, just, like, feel emotions. Like, I want people to process their emotions while they're hearing what Maggie's saying. Listen to Maggie, y'all. She wasn't lying. Love on people that love on you. And when I cut this section out, like, let me not say anything, you know? Same thing with Val. Like, are you coming from a place of love? Like, these are all lessons that I've, like, had to look at. Even now, I know it's for, like, a 12-year-old and, like, a 9-year-old and, like, two 4-year-olds, I'm pretty sure. But listen to them. They know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And the last two pictures that we see is of my grandma and this baby who I don't know, and myself. Once again, my mom does God's work by fitting me up. You know what I'm saying? A little gold on the black, like, it's just very good. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they kind of messed me up at the barbershop, but it's fine because I've always had a big forehead, so this isn't a big deal. And then here's my grandma when she was young. And you can see how much my grandma looks like my mom in this picture, in the picture that I showed earlier. And it's very, I don't know, I love this film. That's all I can say. I love this film. Did I have to bullshit to my professor about what RPC stands for? No, they didn't ask. They did not ask. Nobody asked. So special thanks to West Carlin family, obviously. Shell Diaz is my mentor and also the head of the equipment room tech, but she's also my ride or die. She helps me with everything. I wouldn't have come this far in film if it wasn't for her. Same with George Miller. My recent mentor as of, I want to say, this March, but it feels like I've known George forever because I've just been around black people forever. Gabriella Hisu is like my little sister in film, like in my film school little sister. She has so much energy that, like, whenever I see Gabby, like, even if I'm having a bad day, Gabby's gonna cheer me up because she has a really loud laugh. Like, you can tell when Gabby is somewhere because when she laughs, she's very loud, right? Everybody in the department can hear when Gabby's around. But I love her because she's always, you know, making me laugh, and she's, like, genuinely my little sister in this film thing. Sophie is also somebody that I got to know recently over the summer. not over the summer, probably more over the fall break. Like I've hung out with her more over fall break, but she's also helped me out a lot in film, and just like we'll talk and we'll rant about stuff, but also she's very funny. And I want to say she's like me too because she has a lot of like deadpan, like not deadpan, but she comes off very monotone. So a lot of people like read Sophie incorrectly, but Sophie's really funny. She's hilarious. Marguerite Scipion is my grandmother, who I owe everything to. When I wanted a laptop and Legos, because I thought I wanted to be a stop motion animator, because I used to watch a lot of like Lego animations on YouTube, a lot of Forest Fire 101, a lot of I forget a lot of the big names because I'm just not tapped into that scene, but like a lot of like Mason. I just remember the guy's name being Mason. I don't remember the full tag, but I used to be in that like scene of just watching like Lego stop motion videos on YouTube. My grandma got me like a little laptop. It wasn't even a laptop. It was more like a notebook or a Chromebook or whatever. And I used the Chromebook as like a camera to take pictures of the stop motion. I made one stop motion ever before I stopped because I couldn't figure it out. But I understood what it was, and I feel like that kind of put me on this path of like filmmaking. She got me a Wii as well, so I can play Brawl, because at one point I also wanted to make Brawl Machinimas too. Like anything I saw on YouTube that was like the slightest bit creative, I wanted to do it. Brawl videos, like Brawl Machinimas, Halo Machinimas especially, I wanted to do that. Sprite animations, I wanted to do that. Like stick figure fights, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do everything in the YouTube space. My grandma never told me that I couldn't do it, so I have to thank her for that. Lance, who is Jalenzo Beauvoir, my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. I put him in special thanks for making my sister happy, because my sister dated a lot of cornballs, a lot of weirdos, a lot of like stupid people before she met him. And honestly, I did not think that Lance and my sister were gonna last, because it did get pretty dicey sometimes. Not gonna lie. Sorry, Maggie, putting your business. They get pretty dicey, but I'm glad that they worked through everything that they worked through and that they're together now, because that's my guy. He always makes sure to be respectful of me and my mom. Because I remember when he first met my mom wasn't having it either. I'm sorry, Mom, but you are not having it. My mom was like, not notoriously mean, but like she'll give people a hard time. Like she'll give my brother and sisters, like boyfriends and girlfriends, a hard time whenever they bring people around. But you have to like kind of like hold that for a while until she like starts to airing the block out. I'm sorry, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but she'll eventually like you too. Lindsay, you know what I'm saying? You're not my sister-in-law yet, but it's gonna happen, sis. Don't worry. It's gonna happen. Same thing with Lance. Like, she just made my brother happy. It's always like good talking to Lindsay because she's just like so not different than the rest of the family, but like she hasn't leaned into how goofy we all are. Like she hasn't like let loose yet. She's still trying to be like the model older sister, but once she lets loose and starts acting like a weirdo like the rest of us, she'll fit right in. Auntie Catherine, she was my mentor at Asian Arts Initiative, an arts workshop that I worked at on Vine Street near downtown Philly. I worked there for 2 years, 2018, 2019, and when I worked there in 2019, I had to help the high school students make a video because they were making like community agreements or something like that, and it was like the first time I've ever directed anything. The students, like the high school students wrote the script, and I kind of just like, they kind of let me figure out how to use the camera and all that, because the arts workshop did have a camera and they did have a tripod. They didn't have mics, fortunately, but they did have a camera and a tripod, and I kind of just like figured things out. Like I figured out how to transfer the footage, I figured out how to edit the thing, I figured out how to do it. They kind of edited, well, I edited it, but they wrote it, and it was just kind of like a big collaboration. And my auntie Catherine saw how much fun I was having. I spent an all-nighter to like make a video for the high school students, with like the excess footage that I had. Like I finished the community agreements video, but then I also made like an extra video specifically for the high school students and like all the people that we worked with, as like a thank you. And that was like one of the first times I ever spent like 16 hours, probably not 16. I'm exaggerating, probably like 10 hours editing. And I was like, yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night. And they were just like, all right, well, we'll cover for you. Like, you can take a nap and then we'll wake you up when it's time to go. And I was like, you guys don't have to. And it's just like, over the course of the summer, I didn't know these kids very well, but every morning I would come upstairs and I would say, good morning, kids. And they would just be like, bruh, we're like 2 years younger than you. Don't call us kids. We're not your children, right? But, you know, my stupid ass, I would continue to persist and keep calling them my kids. You know, good morning, children, right? By the end of the summer, they did like, you know, I'd come up, good morning, kids. They'd be like, good morning, dad, like that. And when I said I was tired, they said like, you know, we're your kids. We're not going to snitch you out. Like, you know, go ahead and take that nap. They did take that nap. It was a very good nap, and I'm pretty sure I dreamt of good things. So I have to thank Auntie Catherine for inviting me back to Asian Arts Initiative in 2019, because I wouldn't have met those kids. And then she told me, because I was apprehensive about going back to community, I didn't know if I wanted to do business anymore. Because I was a business major at the time, she was just like, quit business and go do films, because you have a real passion for films, and I feel like you have the potential to make some really good stuff. Like, you're a really great storyteller. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. And I did, and I haven't looked back since. And obviously I'm enjoying my time. And RPC is kind of like an all-encompassing term for like my online friends. There's a couple different servers and groups of people that I associate myself with, you know what I'm saying? But RPC is the foundation of me meeting all those people. If I hadn't met, you know, I'm going to throw out a bunch of names. If I hadn't met Hans, if I hadn't met Declan, if I hadn't met Dalton, I'm sorry I'm using your real names, guys, instead of your online handles, but if I hadn't met those people, I wouldn't have been in the place that I am. Don't want to get too personal, but like, things got pretty rough. And when I can just turn off the real life and just, you know, head on online and play like Uno or whatever, that makes things a lot easier. Meeting Mikey and Gardy and Styles, getting to know Styles, who I looked up to as an idol for a while, but now I see him as like a genuine brother. Dom and Mohammed, meeting all of them, like, genuinely changed my life. You know what I'm saying? I got to meet, you know, Shofu and Chris and Jay and I don't know Mozzie's real name. I forgot Mozzie's real name. And Omar. I don't know Crunch's real name. Crunch and Eric. Yeah, Eric and Onyx. All those people in DS2 was amazing too. They're still my family. I don't really talk in there much, but I hope they know that I still consider them family, even though I haven't talked much in there. The pandemic got really rough for me, guys. Pony server, meeting Pony first time, you know what I'm saying? I still remember those My Hero arguments I had with Chris. It's very funny looking back now, but, you know, Max's server, meeting all of them, you know, all the people in the stream chat too. It's been a good ride. But I obviously I listed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, and the special thanks to, right? So I didn't want to add any more names because it was already getting a lot of like, you know what I'm saying, like, to the thing. I probably could, because I don't have like I didn't have a director, I didn't have an editor, I didn't have a cinematographer, I didn't have a lot of things. It was just a lot of me doing this. It's essentially a passion project. If my producing professor saw, she would say this is a passion project, because it is a passion project. I didn't have any funding, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of me Ubering equipment back and forth from my house. You know what I'm saying? Maggie did help me take equipment to the house, but it wasn't often because Maggie's busy with nursing school, so I would have to take equipment to my house. Sophie also would let me hold equipment at her dorm, as well as Gabby as well. But like, I didn't have a producer, didn't have an editor, didn't have a cinematographer, didn't have a sound person. I was doing my own sound. And I was doing my own camera while being in frame too. Do you know how hard that is? Like, come on, right? So I can't list. I could have listed everybody if I wanted to. If I wanted to make, different designations. I don't even know what I would call Max's server. I don't know if I'd call it McGraffin's domain or what, because essentially all those people that are in McGraffin's domain are also in Max's. I don't know what I would call it, but I do, even if like every group isn't individually listed out, I do love everybody that I've come to interact with and still consider my friend, even if I don't outwardly say it all the time, right? Like, for example, I listen to Omar's album damn near every day. I get up, I hop out the shower, I'm feeling myself a little bit, right? I put on Knock It Off, right? That's a banger. Beat, mix up, Molasses, come on. Stop playing with my guy, bro. It's real beats right there. It's real music. I still listen to Shofu's music every day. I listen to Scoot. I listen to Shizzy. You know what I'm saying? I listen to all of them. They all make great music. I didn't donate to the Cypher because I'm broke, but I would have if I could. Like, you have to give thanks to the people that you came up with. You feel me? Now, I'm not going to lie. In those Shofu chats, I almost became a weirdo because a lot of those people in those chats are weirdos. But, like, hearing those conversations was, like, it was just good. Like, Twitch does not give enough respect to his black creators. I feel like Shofu kind of, like, carved out that little black people space on Twitch. And it gave path to me making this entirely black people documentary that doesn't have, like, any real black pain to it. There's like a modicum of black pain, but it's literally the happiest black thing that I'm probably ever going to make. That's not true. I have plenty more black people only things in the works. Shout out Box Canyon, but yeah. And as that ends, right? I have to talk my shit because I love the people that were in Documentary Workshop 1, but something that one of them said to me was, and I don't hold it against them because honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it either, but something that they said to me was, as you talked about your documentary with your sisters, the idea was really good, but I didn't think, is this still on the recording? This is still on the recording. Let me put something up so that people have something to look at. I'll just hold up. Alright. Alright, let me just have this up. But he said, yeah, the idea with your little sisters is really strong, but I didn't think you were going to do it. Like, I didn't know how you were going to do it until you actually did it, right? And I'm probably going to cut this out. Maybe I'll cut this out of, like, the actual director's commentary, so. No, I'll keep it in, right? And I understand he was saying that out of the goodness of his heart, because I didn't have a lot of footage. I only had an idea, right? I had an idea, and maybe it wasn't really clear to everybody, but I still got it done, right? I can do it. And I'm going to, I listen to rappers a lot, right? And if there's something I'll tell you about rap, is that a lot of rappers have a lot of faith in themselves. So I'm going to borrow a little bit of faith and ego that a lot of rappers have and say, of course I got it done because I'm him. I'm him. I'm literally him. I'm him. I did it. The equipment, you know what I'm saying? I got all of it. I brought it home. Through thick or thin, through rain or snow, through sun or shine, I got that shit and I brought it home. I'm him. I put myself on camera and did all the sound, and the sound sounds fantastic, right? I don't know a lick of sound. I don't know anything about anything. I'm not Rob Del Vecchio that works at Temple University. I don't know any of that. I just did it, and it worked, and it was good, right? The audios are balanced. It's not too loud in certain spots. It's not too quiet in certain spots. You can hear everything, right? There's no line of dialogue that gets overshadowed by anything else, right? I'm on camera. I put myself in frame. The frame is good. The frame looks delicious. My sister is lit correctly, because I know a lot of you people struggle with lighting black people. It's not hard. It's not hard, right? You know what I'm saying? My brother is audible. I have a lot of B-roll. Sure, it's a little shaky, but I'm literally hand-holding. I'm not using a gimbal to shoot B-roll of some family pictures, right? I racked focus the right way. I made sure all the pictures were visible. I did all the subtitles. All these subtitles you see right there, I did it. I sat there. I'm pretty sure I started at 9 o'clock p.m. EST, and I finished the subtitles at like 2 a.m., right? I did all the subtitles. A lot of narrative films don't even have subtitles, right? Something very simple. Just crop the picture and then write out the subtitles. Y'all don't have that. I have that. Every single line of dialogue. I have that. Because the accessibility is there. I want everybody to be able to see my film. I don't have it in different languages, but as long as you know the English language, we're all speaking the same thing, right? You feel me? The music, I made sure it's not copyrighted. Because I understand y'all get carried away about that. You know, oh, you're going to have to pay for licenses in the future. I could just go find some royalty-free music. And I found the royalty-free songs that represent my life. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing with me, man. I'm literally him. I'm him. I'm him. And that's where I'm going to end the director's commentary. We got a little sidetracked at the end, but I hope you guys enjoy this, me kind of explaining my process behind Perfect Strangers. What the next thing that I work on is, who knows? It'll come out soon. Everybody will see it. It'll be very special. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you don't like it. But, I'm going to end the recording here. And thank you guys for watching.